I'm going to play it on this to make sure it's actually like coming through. Just make sure there's no volume.
How we doing out there? Just have Chris report back to us. Let us know.
Chris, can you hear us? Our lovely moderator. Please write in the chat.
Let people start rolling in. What's up, everybody?
Is the audio and video to everyone's liking?
Yes. Please report back to let us know how it's looking and sounding so we can begin hammering this out one question at a time.
We have the go-ahead from our lovely moderator. Your moderator for this evening will be a gentleman named Chin Face. He has a chin for a face.
And today's video is sponsored by Arby's, and you're going to see Jack get to devour a beef and cheddar for the first time on camera.
I will not be doing that.
He will be, and he's got himself a Jamocha shake. So I'd like to thank all the people at Arby's.
It's called a Jamocha shake?
They have a Jamocha, a chocolate, vanilla. It's whatever you want.
Wow, that's artisanal.
So we're going to have the team from Arby's that made this.
Is that
meal.
farm to table?
No, it's not. They're going to come here in the middle of the live stream and fire up the roast beef machine in the microwave so we can get something even more exciting for you.
Oh my God. All right, so let's...
This guy's so down on it.
Yeah, well, it's not my swordfish or sea bass that I'm accustomed to. Let me pull up the topics. I guess you had something you wanted to talk about when it came to McLaren.
Yeah, I did.
No, it doesn't sound like your mic's on, apparently, but your mic is on, Mark.
My mic is on. How bad is it? Is it because Jack has taken over?
Can you guys all hear Mark? Goose mic sound is off. It wasn't off a minute ago. So.
Well, it's off now. So, Jack, why don't you...
No, his mic just sounds low. Apparently your mic is low.
Can you hear me now? Can you see me on the sound meter, Jack? On there. GH5. Hello.
Barely. It's definitely picking me up.
Okay. So I'm going to talk into Jack's microphone temporarily until I sort this out. But Jack, get this started.
So Mark wanted to talk about, while I pull up his questions, before we get into the Patreon questions and then get into your questions. Cards and media, Robert Mitchell, drag times in McLaren, and traditional media versus non-traditional media in the automotive space.
Yeah, so there was somebody always tags me with certain things about videos that come out, and there was this video that came out about these dudes, or this guy from Drag Times who owns a bunch of McLarens. This other guy owns McLarens, and the dealership and McLaren of North America got them together where he could drive one of these cars. Subsequently, he made a YouTube video about driving this McLaren, and corporate McLaren contacted the dealership and told them to take down the video. And that was partially because it was before the Smoking Tire released their video on the Elva. So it was kind of like this embargo thing. It wasn't an embargo thing, but their argument is, why aren't companies taking YouTube and social media just as serious as the big outlets? Doesn't social media, doesn't the YouTube community, the people that contribute to all these car videos, don't they sell more than like Motor Trend, Car and Driver, like Motor Week, all these companies that don't have the following or perceived following? So that was the argument, is the old way of journalism dead?
So when it comes to people getting cars now before traditional media, a good example of that is like the Mach 1 in our case. You and I are not supercar reviewers, But some of these more non-traditional media outlets like Ratty's Rides decided just to go to a dealership instead of attending the launch event and getting support from the manufacturer to put out his Mach 1 video as quickly as possible. And there is something to be said about that. Obviously, people can buy these cars now, so they want to get information. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer on that. You and I talk about this all the time. The only thing manufacturers care about is ROI. And that's the thing, basically running the business side of this when I approach manufacturers. It's all I have to present them is the ROI in providing us a car. And it's not particularly black and white like it used to be.
Yeah, so I kind of commented on this, and the comment that I had was the biggest media outlets in automotive are Hearst, and they are Discovery, and there is one other which now I forgot. I think I put it in there, but anyway, so these big media outlets, and Hearst and Discovery claim they are one of the biggest media outlets in the world. The owners are worth $20 billion. They own everything.
They own a lot of factories.
They own a lot of factories. So when you're dealing with companies that are this large that could swallow up the entire automotive, like social media, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, they're way bigger on paper than any single outlet on YouTube making videos. It makes sense that manufacturers are always going to cater to that big media that has such a huge scope and huge pocketbook. So it's about knowing your place, and this is something I went back to because I posted something on Instagram today about the last text I got from my job where John was his name. I'm not going to say his name. John is like, come to the office now. And that was the end of my tenure. So it's two things: know thy place and also comply or fly.
So apparently now I'm being blown out because my mic is so loud. When you turned it up, it only turned up my mic.
I didn't turn it up. It's because your voice is so muscular.
Yeah, my voice does curls.
Yeah, is that any better?
Can you guys hear us better? And before we get into it, all your questions and whatnot we're going to be answering after we get through our quick topics.
All right.
We got it, and it's fine.
Okay. Let's start with the next one, Jack. Let's just go right into the questions.
Well, you didn't want to get through the rest of these? So we'll go through two other ones because they're easy. We're doing an upcoming Porsche project. We're finally doing a GT3 project, which is my big thing. We're doing a 991 and a 992 retrospective, and then we're doing a 992 video as well with Porsche's factory support. It'll be similar to the upcoming GTR video, whenever that comes out, probably next week, and hopefully in a similar vein to like the LFA. It's going to be a 3 or 2-part video where we incorporate the Cup cars, we incorporate AP, some of the Porsche engineers, some of the Porsche project leaders, and we talk about the engineering of the car that's going away, the 991 and 991.2 generation. We talk about the 992 GT3 and why it's such a big leap forward for Porsche as a brand. And then I guess the BMW quote is I recently experienced my favorite kind of BMW honor. I was leaving a restaurant and a nice young lady in a BMW M4 proceeded to back into my parked GTI and proceeded to tell me how I got the better end of the deal.
Wow.
Well,
that's your BMW quote for the day. There's no doubt about it.
That is definitely high on the BMW list. Can you guys hear Mark?
I'm just talking into your mic, dude, because right. I don't think that I can fix this on the fly, and I'm not going to get into it as much as this. My blood is boiling. I'm not going to show it.
All right. So before we get into all the paid questions quickly, I'm going to go... Oh, my God. Here, Mark. We're going to have to talk into a single mic together.
Dude, just pin it. Pull some slack, bro.
Oh, there we go. And pull through my shirt. There we go.
Wow, this is amateur hour again.
Dude, we're going to... Oh, I feel like I'm on a dialysis machine. All right. So, before we get into the paid questions, we're going to go through some Patreon questions.
Yes.
That our Patreon members were kind enough to ask us. And again, thank you, Chin. We will be getting through the questions you were sending me. Oh my God, a lot of questions. Through Patreon. Of all the GT Series cars that Porsche makes, Which one is for what group of people slash enthusiasts? So, I mean, one could argue all of the Porsche sports cars are for enthusiasts, and basically, the way you progress through the Porsche lineup is the more money you have, the more Porsche you can buy. If you are very wealthy but not cartoon rich, you can buy a GT4. And if you have a lot of money and you own a lot of factories, you can buy a GT3. And I'm pretty sure most people who own a GT4 would probably also want a GT3. And for financial reasons or whatever, that's the reason why they buy the GT4. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
Next question.
Well, what if you're super rich?
Then you get a GT2 RS.
Enough said. Oh, and what if you're super rich?
You get a Singer.
No.
What do you get? You get an RSR race car?
Yeah, you get a GT, you get a GT3 Cup car, and then you get an RSR, and then the street cars become irrelevant, like our lives are.
When you're that level of rich.
Yeah.
Are the big three, and this is from Big Papa, are the big three starting to make a decent vehicle, or are they still making a fucking turd on wheels? General thoughts on the comments on the big three.
That's all you, bro.
Like, I'm Mr. GM.
You are Mr.
All right.
GM.
So the C8 is good. You know, Chevrolet makes a mix of cars. When they try, they do a good job. The Escalade was amazing, wasn't it? The Escalade was
the
good.
Escalade was really good, even though we have no idea if it's going to last.
It's not going to
more than
last,
3 years.
but you know, for the kind of people who are buying that car, it doesn't matter. The Tahoe and Suburban is good as they've ever been. The Camaro's great, and the what other pile's good? The C8 is good, but you know, they're kind of generic cars. Are horrible, like the Blazer and the Equinox and the Trax. So it's a good mix. I mean, FCA's in the same boat. The Hellcat products are tremendous, but then you get into a Jeep Compass and you want to die. And same with Ford. The GT500 is one of the best cars we've driven. The GT350 is great. The regular Mustang's good. You like the F-150s. And, you know, some of their other piles are horrible. So they're kind of in that weird in-between, right?
I think you're going to have a huge change, and we talk about this with. That's what I planned on started talking about this as I switched over from my real job to this. There's a definite changeover in mindset in the car market. So a lot of these piles that we hate that are turning into 3 cylinders, 4 cylinders, like what was the AMG that just got announced today? The C63 is going 4 cylinder. So all of these cars are ripe and primed to go to full EV. Mm-hmm. You know, you just wipe them off the map. They all become basically NPCs, and you know you're going to reduce the quantity of cars because nobody's.
You're going to see a giant consolidation of.
We're in the next generation of cars now. So the big three. You know, they have a bunch of resources. So, like, GM and Honda are going together on EVs. Mm-hmm. Ford has made it very clear that that's their future. What was the other company? Oh, Alexis is going all, you know, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and EV now. And that's by necessity.
And Audi Group doesn't... They said that they're not going to do any new...
development of new engines, which, you know, they'll stretch those engines out for 10, 15 years because... I mean,
they have to.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think we're in a huge shift, and... From the enthusiast side, it depends on if countries ban it. Like in America, it's not as big of a deal because other countries are way more aggressive at regulating. We're kind of like depends on our leadership, who's in office or who's in charge will dictate where the direction goes. And it could change every 4 years based on like what we just saw. You have the hyper right who's like deregulate. You have the hyper left that's like, let's make everything green. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's ever going to be an in-between, but we know EVs are going to replace these piles.
When I spoke to Bob Hall, who works at Geely now as a portfolio manager, and he's dealing with this, obviously, because California, unfortunately, for one way or another, kind of leads the way in automotive laws here in the United States because they are such a large buying portion for the U.S., he thinks we're going to be the last out of the Western countries to go fully EV. And this isn't, you know, getting political. It's just a fact based upon what he sees. So that ties into our next question about, bear with me, fucking Patreon. Electrification of the automobile is coming, and in some ways it's already here. Of the EVs you've driven, which one is the best in your opinion? Which companies should be making EVs but are not? And is it inevitable that companies will make fun to drive EVs or enthusiasts just dreaming? Chris Harris did a really, really good job of his humorous buyer's guide, and he probably said it best, right? Of the kind of generic, expensive but not horribly expensive EV vehicles, it's the Model 3, right? You and I both agree it's probably the best. And then as far as fun to drive, the Taycan,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of money.
Yeah, so it's just we're in this like again. I bring this up in every video where we do a plug-in hybrid or something. We're in that middle phase of like the teenage phase of like electrification. So I haven't been on anything that's really blown me away. I think all of them are like half baked. Tesla's the most fully actualized, but it's fully actualized in a different way than what you'll see some of the huge OEMs do. I'm more excited to see what the big players like VW, Audi Group, and Toyota have the most amount of money. And I think those cars will be the most usable, functional, and I think that's where we need it to go. The enthusiast cars,
I mean, we're
totally
doing some
separate.
big ones. We're doing a Mach 1 coming up in April, and we're doing an ID4, and we're supposed to be doing a Taycan this summer. So you'll see a good mix of EV cars from
But I
us
feel like
this year.
those are all beta.
Oh, they are all
projects,
beta cars.
you know?
You're
So
buying them because you want to be an early adopter.
Yeah, so I don't really see it yet. I haven't seen like once there's like a Rav4
Yeah.
EV that gets 600 miles of range that 500,000 people are buying a year. That's when you know that the scales have tipped. But until we get there, I'm not kind of feeling it.
CUVs are starting to move away from mimicking body-on-frame SUVs and genuinely begin to reduce their step-in height and overall vehicle height. Do you think the segment will be increasingly moved towards station wagons with a slight lift?
No.
I don't think so either. I think it's OEM dependent. Like we just drove the Bronco, not the real Bronco, the baby Bronco, the small OJ mobile. And that thing, basically, when you drove it, pretended to be a body-on-frame truck. In like the way it rode. Oh my God, dude. The way it, the way it looked. And it really tried to emulate that the best it could. Next, and if we don't answer all these Patreon questions, the Patreon people who are watching this, I will go through and make sure we answer all these as well. Love to hear your thoughts on the 2022 BRZ. The torque is up a good bit, so the horsepower and torque dip is gone according to Subaru's press info, and it claims to be less than 100 pounds heavier, and that can do 0 to 60 a second faster than the old model. What do you think?
It's going to be way better.
I mean, my favorite story you told me is Akio Toyota driving it and basically going, "This is shit." He allegedly he was unhappy that the Toyota variant did not differ itself enough from the Subaru variant, and he was unhappy with the way it drove. Apparently, right? Because if it drove amazingly, he wouldn't want to change it theoretically, right?
Yeah.
One would assume
This is the problem. You're hearing a third party, but my assumption is
a Japanese John business went to a bunch of engineers and went, "This is garbage."
the dude's flying around on his private jet with his secret security, and they're like, "Oh, Akio, bro, we got a new car for you to drive." He's like, "Oh, what is it today?" And they pull off to an airstrip, and it's this Subaru pile. He gets in it, and he's like, "What is this? Fix it." Flies off, and then they're left with a shit show to clean up. But the car, based on what I've seen, obviously I haven't driven it, it's probably like 40%, 30 to 40% better than the outgoing car. It's largely the same. They've just basically refreshed certain things on it, updated suspension, engine, probably the trans is the same. So it's going to be a good car. It's kind of the last of its kind, right?
Well,
Aside from
the
Miata.
400Z, the Miata, we're basically in, I think, for the internal combustion engine for affordable cars that are fun to drive, the last gasp of life, right? They're putting out all these great cars, and then I imagine, based on my conversation with the OEM's engineers, there's no real future plans past that. They got to move EV. Trying to go through these again. Patreon people, we'll either do another video because there are so many of these questions, or we'll respond in text. My God. What do you guys think of Mazda possibly making an RX-9?
Like a real RX-9?
Yeah,
Or
zero.
like an EV?
Well, I think he means a rotary, and this is from Jack.
I don't want to say because they've been talking about this for quite a while. He could be in development, but you just don't know. Mazda's announcing something this year.
Yeah.
Some product. It's probably going to be a CX-5. I mean, they have to.
No, it's going to be a V10 supercar,
Yeah,
dude.
right. I would say the likelihood of it appearing before they actually start making money is very low.
Put it this way. For them to make a dedicated architecture sports car on a rotary engine, I'm not crossing my fingers for that one.
Jack.
Oh my god, you really? Oh my
I'm
god!
gonna make you eat it.
All right, let me get through these questions before I die. Have you had the opportunity to look over the new Lexus LFZ? This is from Mark.
Yes, I have. Since it's a prototype, there's not a lot to get excited about.
This guy called me at 1 o'clock in the morning wearing his Takumi outfit. He's like, man, dude, that smells horrible.
Yeah, dude, it's byproduct. What do you
Oh my
expect?
god.
I'm doing this for the crowd.
How is Jack liking his C7 Grand Sport after a few years? How does it compare to the 718 or 911? I used to have a C6Z and thinking about getting a manual C7Z06, 718 GTS, 4 liter, or GT4. Yeah, okay. So today is the first time I've taken out the vet for forever. I immediately drove it for 3 minutes, thought it was amazing, then proceeded to get into traffic where I hated my life. That's pretty much the summary of that car. The gears are too long. If you get a C7Z, it's even worse. The gearing's similar, but you can't use it anywhere. It wasn't meant to be really fun on the street. But this Friday when we track it, it's probably going to be amazing. You literally, I'm just going to disappear in the
You're gonna
distance.
track it?
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to track it at Applebee's when we go to Autobahn this Friday. I don't know. It's the car is really a one-trick pony. It's good at doing one thing, going around a racetrack. Everything else it sucks at. Is that a fair statement?
I wouldn't say it sucks.
It's just not. I mean, compared to like the 718 GTS 4 liter we had.
The car is too. It's too hardcore to just daily drive.
And it doesn't have a special enough drivetrain to make up for it.
I mean, it's a cool car.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's just you're losing a lot of the fun by just putting it around on the street. You're better off with like
A GT4 or a
you're
GT.
better off with a base C7 convertible
Automatic.
Yeah, I mean that's the trade-off of going to the Grand Sport. You don't expect it to be, super comfortable and.
It's not even the
livable.
comfort part. It's the gearing for the street. Like your LC 500, right? It is a much slower car on a racetrack, but the gearing, the way that car was set up, was meant for you to enjoy the 5 liter at the expense of some probably track gearing, right?
Oh, it's a far better car. on
You
the
can get
street
into a
in every
rhythm.
way, yeah.
You can't get into a rhythm with the C7, right? It's too big. It's super wide. The limits are really high. The gearing is third gear is 105 miles an hour. First is super short and second short, so you can't really explore the
Yeah,
RPM
but what
band.
sports car isn't like that?
But those other sports cars have a super special engine. Like later when you drive Chris's GT3 4 liter with a manual, it has a lot of the same problem, but you have God's engine behind you. And the same deal with the 4 liter and the GT4 and the GTS
Yeah, but
4
you're
liter.
also you're paying $150,000
Yeah.
for that privilege. You didn't
True.
pay 150 grand. How much was your vet?
I think so. Now they're like mid 60s.
Yeah, but what you paid like mid 60s.
Yeah, new.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want?
No, I know. But for this guy, if he's looking at other cars, and he can go up market, I would just go up market.
Well, I would say if you're looking for a sports car for $65,000.
No, there's nothing better if you're gonna
and that's
track
the
it,
thing,
yeah. All right, let's do one more Patreon question. I promise we'll answer all these questions. We got a lot more questions through our YouTube live stream than we originally thought on doing. We got another EV question. I'm just trying to find. What is the best small not hatchback currently to buy with a manual transmission? Something that is engaging that could be fun daily. I'm talking like a Mazda 3 or Corolla. Mazda 3.
Mazda 3 is a really good car. It really is, as much as the turbo was disappointing because I thought it was going to be something it wasn't. That's a great daily driver.
The naturally aspirated one, if you find one slightly used, it's like low 20s. I almost bought one and now I regret not buying it instead of my GTI. It's a great car. Good fuel economy, good interior. I mean, it's not super sporty, but it's just a really, really competent car.
That, or you wait for the new Civic. They've
Yeah.
they've kind of toned down the
You think they'll put a manual in it?
in the SI.
Yeah, fair enough.
In like the other trims, but not the regular ones. I doubt it.
Yeah, fair point. All right, let's get into the paid questions because we got a lot more than I had anticipated. So the first question we got was from Gabriel Young for $5. Gabriel, thank you for the donation. What are your thoughts on the Kia EV6?
Looks badass. But here's the thing. I'm gonna just go off on a small tangent about the Kia's EVs. So I had a chance to talk to one of the product managers or senior product managers who now left the company, and I asked him multiple times about why Kia EVs aren't widely available and why are they only available in California and certain markets and why they're not being pushed more. And he just basically said it wasn't a priority. It was just there to meet numbers for to have an electrified vehicle. Their goal was to put it out there, but not really put it out there. And my concern is if you're looking to buy an EV, you want support on it. You want the company to take it seriously. So I don't know if this is going to be the first one they're actually going to push out and kind of reboot the brand into electrification, but I'd be very weary on it. It's not that they can't do it. They already have contracts with LG Chem. They have one of the biggest battery suppliers. They have the technology.
And they're one of the only vertically integrated OEMs.
They're huge. So if they take it seriously and they really do push it, and you see it in every state, not just a couple, I'd be excited for it.
You can hear them, right? I mean,
Chris, just message
Chin,
us.
you can hear Mark, right? Just turn off your mic too. Yeah, okay. You guys can hear us.
All right, good.
All right. Yeah, you're just quiet, so you're just gonna have to speak louder. Sorry, guys. So continue your answer.
That's it. If they sell it in all 50 states, then you know they're serious. If it comes out in like, oh, this month we're gonna have it in one market, and then the next.
I mean, like the Soul EV that
Yeah.
was just in California.
Yeah, it was like in 3 states, or like one state at first.
Stephen Kerr for $50 or 50 Canadian. Thank you,
Steve
Stephen.
Kerr?
Yes, he plays for the Bulls.
Oh no, you mean he coaches for the Golden State
Oh,
Warriors?
fair enough.
He still plays for the Bulls
yeah.
like 60 years later.
Will you do a 987 Cayman or Boxster review or video? We will be. You know whose car we're getting? Our buddies from. Apparently, they're not good buddies. If I can't think of the name, Chicago Auto Pros. Greg.
Oh,
Greg will be giving us his 987 Cayman S this summer. So yes, you can expect a 987 video, and hopefully Luke from Porsche will give me some kind of support. He might send me a PDF from like 40 years ago. It just says Porsche, I win. Forgetful Foot, thank you for your $5. Zimfad, thank you for your $5. Calvin Knows Best for $2 says this looks like the start of a porno. Now that would be a very depressing porno.
wait till we turn up the lights.
Taylor Robertson, supporting y'all as always. Have you guys ever thought about doing retro car reviews like our old Skyline or Impreza R video again? I love your engineering takes on those 90s and 2000s classics and would love to see things like on the 350Z. So I can answer this because I just had a conversation. We're doing an ITR video.
That's an Integra Type R.
Integra Type R. We're doing a C6 ZR1 video. And probably we'll be doing a NSX video as well. A first gen NSX video from a viewer of ours who was very kind to give us that car. And Dimitar, another one of our viewers, and I'm sure I just messed up his name, is giving us an E46 M3. So we will be doing some older cars. Jordan Winters, after studying the animal kingdom, I've decided the best way to assert dominance as a male is to put on some blubber. What sports cars best supports my peak performance lifestyle? Man, if you wanted to assert dominance, Plymouth Prowler.
Yeah, you could. That's a big boy car. HHR, SSR would be really good.
Murano convertible.
No, SSR would be peak dominance.
Can you get a manual in an SSR?
I don't know. I should know. But
What about that Caddy? That horrible Caddy Corvette? XLRV.
The Crossfire. Oh no, I thought you were talking about the Crossfire. The Chrysler Crossfire would also be an optional extra to go with your SSR.
They had an SRT too, didn't they?
And well, I guess it technically was an SRT.
Oh.
8, I don't know, 10, I don't remember. That shit's such garbage that
Don't listen to this guy. He's got a museum
yeah,
of,
I do.
of
I don't
peak-
want people to see my garage.
If you want to watch an amazing video that has nothing to do with this, you need to watch the Dodge Caliber designer talking about the exterior design of that car.
Hold on, we'll bring it up for you. Jack, go ahead to the next question.
All right. Bryden William for $10. Bryden, thank you for the $10. I have a 2014 3 Series with 72,000 miles and it's paid off. Should I dump the car to get something newer? Really concerned about maintenance costs and love your content, gentlemen. Man, you're more responsible than I am, Mark. So he's paid off the car. It's got 72,000 miles. It's clearly out of warranty. What would you tell him to do?
I would tell him to win.
No, but honestly, would you dump the car?
Would I dump the car?
Yeah, it's 72,000 miles. I don't know if he has problems with it currently, but would you dump the car? If it's already paid off and you have no problems with it, and you're not due for some major service, I say keep it till it's a problem.
I guess. I mean,
Can these
sure,
heroes,
yeah,
are these heroes looking at the thing we posted up?
they are now.
They are.
Don't worry, it's coming.
Run you over at the car over here, and we're going to start talking about some of the styling elements of the vehicle and get into some of its design a little closer up.
Oh my God, you are
We're going
playing
to start at the
this.
front, so if everybody can kind of make their way kind of back over here towards the table and the food, sneak some food while you're over there. I'm going to start with the front and work my way to the back of the car. Beginning with the front, you lead with your face. In the face of Dodge is what you see right here, which is this beautiful chrome surround grille that originated on the Max show truck from about, I think, the late 90s. Larry asked me about it
Incredible.
earlier. And
Okay,
All right.
that's enough of that.
Anyway, back to the questions, Mark. I don't know. I mean, what's your thought? If you own a car that you've paid off and you just keep it, right? If he's not, till he runs into a real problem.
Like, real problems are the thing is completely rotted out,
Yep.
and there's no hope for it to ever be returned to its normal
Or
form.
you're burning oil at an alarming rate.
Or, I mean, your trans is running, it's pretty much safe. All you have to do is minor stuff, just keep it going, because anything is going to cost you a lot of money. To get out of it, to buy a new car is probably a decent one's going to cost you around like 5 to 10 grand. Like something decent.
Yeah, and,
So,
I mean, and he has a 2014 3 Series that he bought brand new. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for him to get something that he would like would be a lot of money.
yeah, it depends on what his tastes are. Like you,
Johnny
know,
BMW.
yeah. Oh, I gotta get rid of my my vet. It's just I got a bad wheel on it. It's shaking. I gotta scrap the whole thing.
I got to get me some Ferraris.
Yeah, my splitter. It's got a splinter in it.
Long block for $5. Any thoughts on more fine print videos?
Yes.
It's like the rule of thumb here. Mark and I are like, I was literally this morning, I got woken up to schedule more stuff from a phone call. I looked at our calendar. I'm like, oh my God. So
Here's my problem with some of this stuff. Is Jack is responsible for the business stuff, making this grow, and then taking it to other directions to make it even more sustainable. The end goal is to get back to doing this, not because I have to, but because I want to.
yeah,
And
how's
when-
that working out right now?
And when Jack buries me full of infinite projects, when I go to edit and sit down, like I'm trying to edit the GTR video, I sat down today, I got in a groove for like 2.5 hours, and then the software crashed. And it crashed because now I have to update the Intel video driver, the NVIDIA driver, then I do that, it blue screens, and then I have to actually reinstall the drivers, update Adobe Premiere. By the time I redo it, my project's corrupt. Anyway, so when I'm dealing with all this shit, I can't be creative. And for me to do like fine print, and like Dell right now, I have a video that I'm doing about this Dell display. And the display is amazing, and I'm trying to explain all the things that go into the back end of making a video and why having a good display, having it calibrated, even though you can't really tell in this live stream how shitty it is, but in a regular video, I take a lot of pride in doing that. But if I'm maxed out with a whole bunch of stuff, I don't spend enough energy on doing these special
But if I don't
projects.
schedule things, we never get them, and that's the
Right.
problem.
If you don't schedule them on time, they become irrelevant, or the people don't watch them, and you spend all this time on something that nobody watches, and there's no return on the investment in terms of time. And believe it or not, until I get to a better place, I have to continue to release X amount of videos in order to keep this afloat.
Yeah.
And that's the tricky part. So Jack's trying to push this to the next level. I'm losing my energy, creativity, like the creative side of it.
When I met Mark, you looked like Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
From VW fan for $5. Just bought a new VW Arteon. Curious what you guys think about them, and if you'll ever be doing a review on one. Well, VW fan, you're in luck. There's one in the driveway.
There's one
Yeah, right down there.
and
Yeah.
I'm not moving the camera to disconnect this thing, and then I'll never get it back.
So you'll
online,
be
but-
seeing one here shortly. JJ Solders?
It's J.J. Abrams.
Oh, yeah, JJ Abrams is a fan?
Yes, we'll put more lens.
I advise you not to read this. Oh,
How bad is it?
thanks, Chin. Well, JJ, I appreciate your. Anyway, JJ, I will give you back your $10 because I've not answered your question.
I don't understand.
And I don't understand the question either. My brain's too small. Albon, I just bought a Savage Geese t-shirt. As soon as my ex-wife saw it, she took full custody of the kids. Score. Thank you, Mark and Jack. Albon, thank you for buying a shirt. This one?
I
We're moving.
just keep you deal with it. Now that I'm curious, because I don't know if it's
Audion for $5. Looking at a cheaper hatchback. Currently looking at a few years old Alanta GT N line. Anything within this price point that is just a better car. So what is that? Under 10 grand?
Yeah, I think so.
Mazda 3?
Yeah,
The prior generation Mazda 3, I know, is in like the low teens.
yeah, that's a tricky one. I think the Mazda 3, the previous generation one, if you could deal with that and get a manual, it's not bad. It's just super cheap. It's super cheap. And then what other hatchback options are there besides the GTI? Can you get a GTI cheap? Or does he not want that?
I have no idea. And at that point too, right? Like if you get a GTI that's so cheap, you know it's not going to be. Oh, it's JJ gave us $10. David for $20. I apologize. I don't understand your question. Richard H. Thoughts on the rear-wheel drive Taycan? It's the first four-door Porsche I've been interested in. So the rear-wheel drive Taycan, and this is again, Mark. I know you know nothing about this pile. It's the cheapest Taycan you can buy. It's like $79,000. Problem with the Taycan, and because it's a Porsche, is once you put any options on it, it is no longer that cheap. It's like 110 grand with options, which you're in spitting distance of the Taycan 4S. So if you can really live with a Porsche with no options, and a Porsche with no options does not even include keyless entry. So, you know, it's just like, I don't know. It's a really cool car. The fact that Porsche sells more Taycans than they do their sports cars is saying something. I don't know. I mean, go ahead if you want to buy one. Everyone says it's amazing.
Can't you just lease one?
Yeah, lease one. But it's still money. I mean,
I just feel like that Taycan is going to be the Taycan 2 next year, Taycan 3.
yeah,
You know,
the Taycan's a lease car. It's like a lot of the luxury products anyway are lease cars, particularly in the EV segment.
yeah, because those things are going to improve exponentially. It's not going to be like a 991 to 992. It's going to be like a huge leap in advancement over the next generation. So you have it for 3 years, unload it, get a lease deal on the next one, and it should be gold.
Looking up the next. Oh my god! Just making sure that everyone can hear us. All right, back to the questions. Alexander Walter for €5. Hi guys, does the driving experience of a 987S Boxster justify the higher maintenance cost compared to an ND2? I am also considering a Z4M E85. So the Z4M is what you drove, or what we drove earlier. Have you ever driven a 987 Boxster?
I don't
It's
think so.
Greg's gen.
I don't think so. I don't think if I did, it was so long ago. I don't even remember.
They're great cars. If you want a Porsche or like a BMW Z4M, you're going to run into higher running costs than an ND2 Miata. They're much faster. But, you know, they're, 15 years separates the two cars. It's up to you. Like, if you want a new car, get the ND2. It's great. It's one of our favorite vehicles.
I can't speak to the Boxer, but
But Z4M then. Compare the Z4M versus the ND2. Say hypothetically.
personally, I would just have, because I feel like those are at that cutoff point in terms of age of you have to be prepared for certain things to do it. Where the ND2 is like there's so much support for it, and the warranty part of it, you can just beat the shit out of it and not have to have any worry, and everything is super cheap for it. I mean, they're similar cars. Surprisingly, that so much time removed, you lose the motor with the ND2. The motor it's
The Z4, the S54 or whatever that motor is amazing.
yeah, it's good, and without exhaust and intake and all that stuff, it's great. But then again, you could say the same thing about the ND2. You do a little bit to it, and there's people that have messaged me about tuning and all that, and they have a lot more fun with it. And it's super cheap.
Andrew for $20. I just wanted to say thank you guys. You're awesome, and we appreciate all the hard work you put in. And I need more heat from the Viper video.
Yeah, that's Todd.
Oh, and say hello. Andy, Joe, and Deb. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here as well. And go check out Andy the Lab. She's now a gamer girl. She streams.
She streams better than us.
Yeah, she certainly does. Her audio works.
Her audio works, and she's training to do some racing. Like well,
Yeah, she's.
I don't know if she's gonna race wheel to wheel, but she's doing the sim racing thing to see if it equates or develops into how it translates into real driving.
So basically, she's going to be a far superior human being versus us.
Maybe. Just depends. When I finally meet her online for a duel to the death on some oval track and an ND2 or ND1 Miata, we'll just drive around loops. I'll totally tear her apart, put her to shame.
You going to pit her?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Pit maneuver her?
Hit her at 97 miles an hour.
Smiles 11. For $5. Should I sell my 992 Coupe S for 10 grand less than trade-in value for a 992 GT3 allocation? I would also have to pay 15 grand in additional markup. All right. Sooner or later, the GT3s, probably near the end of their run, you'll be able to either pick up used, the 992s, or you'll be able to buy one at a dealership for close to MSRP. I just, I never can justify spending money on a markup. Can you? On a GT3, a car they're going to sell a lot of. A lot, air quotes, probably, a couple thousand.
It just depends on what they do with the car. I mean, you already know it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
To me, if I had that kind of money, I would pay the markup. I personally would, because I know that
He just bought a 992, though. He's had this.
so he's going to lose 10 grand, and then how much he's going to pay an extra $15,000 markup.
Yeah.
So that's $25,000.
Yeah.
If you have that money,
Oh, I would too. Immediately.
I would. I mean, we're removing ourselves out of that.
But it depends on what this guy does. So Smiles, if he mainly street drives, people should or should not know this. Some select customers have driven the 992 GT3. Ask me how I know, but I know that. And if you're only driving on the street and you're driving like 2,000 feet like this guy did, you're not going to notice a huge difference for a regular person.
Okay, well that's a good point. But you got guys that also look at the Matt Mormons, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a GT3 RS.
The car's God's car. It's amazing.
He's almost like doesn't want to drive the car, and his experience is all on the street, and he loves that car to death because it embodies everything mentally that he likes, even though he doesn't go out and drive
Smiles 11, just buy the new GT. If you can afford, if it's not going to bankrupt you, your significant other isn't going to leave you, the new car, get it with a manual, don't get it with a PDK, is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I don't see 25 at that point, like 180 grand to 25,000 to have the car that if you really want it.
This isn't a big deal.
It's not, to me, it's not a big deal. But, to a normal person, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're throwing money away.
If you make the kind of money you and I make, it's a big deal.
I mean, then you have a whole, huge warehouse full of exotic cars that, basically my other YouTube channel is bald, hairy man with exotics, and it's really killing it with the over 70 crowd right now.
God damn it. Will Matt for $5. What do you choose between the new Land Rover, the Defender V8, and the Rubicon 392, or a used G-Wagon? Man, that's like see, you pick like the Slavic mobster's car?
392 Rubicon.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah, that'll probably be
the
hilarious.
every man's
Hillbilly mobile?
Yeah, it's got everything, every part you could possibly want for cheap. Well, cheaper.
I want it to handle like a death trap because that'd be hilarious.
I'm sure there's going to be stuff you can do to it. It'll just make it ridiculous.
Yeah, fair point. There you go. Will get the new 392 Rubicon. You'll be miserable 95% of the time, but 5% of the time you'll be laughing so hard.
You just straight pipe that thing. Or put the pipes outside.
And lift it like
up.
another 20 feet so you turn a corner, it just rolls.
Over. My God, is that 392 rear-wheel drive?
No, I'm sure it's all-wheel drive.
But I mean, can you put
I
it?
imagine yes, because all the other that was going to be amazing. I want it to be open diff too.
Oh man, yeah, that sounding good. It just you might as well just put the Elephant engine in it. Just pop the get the hood like raised up 10 feet and just put the blower on the top.
Smeed for $5. What car would you buy for $45,000 for a daily and an excitement car? 45 grand.
For 45?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Supra. Oh, it's a daily driver.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a sports car. 45. There's a lot.
To me, I always tell Mark this. One of my favorite cars currently in that price range, a CPO'd S5 Sportback. It does everything you want it to be. Fast, comfortable, hatchback, goodish interior, rides properly, it looks good, right? That's the
I'm gonna go two weird ones.
all right.
Okay. For new, loaded ES350.
As a fun car?
No, does it say fun?
He says an excitement car. There's nothing
Well, I
exciting.
just broke that. Well, so then it is. It could be a sports car.
Yeah, but yeah, sure.
Supra.
All right, there you go. Super S5 or ES350 F Sport if you're like a senior
Well,
care.
I was thinking like 45, so it would be MD or RDX A spec for 45, or like an ES350 as a pure daily driver.
And it's for like a fun car, Supra,
Yeah, Supra.
S5, Mustang, Camaro SS1
Can
LE.
you get a GT Mustang anywhere for 45?
Yeah, now you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you just can't get every option. Long block, thoughts on the 400Z leak? You and I both have thoughts on this, I know. The 400Z, the Nissan.
I feel bad for Nissan.
I do too, actually.
I feel bad for Nissan for that leak because they spent so much time and it's like their baby, and they wanted to really get excitement, and then you got some dude in a warehouse. He's like, "Hey man, what do we got here? Cool."
He's surprised he get fired
He
too.
probably got nailed to a cross for doing that. I'm sure like the Takumis came in.
Oh, and I'm
with
sure the
hammers.
company he worked for too is going to get sued, and more people are going to lose their jobs because when companies suddenly get sued for tens of millions of dollars, it's, people. So not only did he cost himself a job, hurts Nissan the organization. He also probably cost some other people their jobs too because he was an asshole basically.
That's the car looks cool.
The car looks really cool.
It looks good. The
Yeah.
back looks great. The front, they're gonna wind up changing it 25 times.
It just
but-
needs a CVT and it's complete.
Yeah, if it had, I didn't see the CVT in there, so I'm not as excited. But I think the car,
You mean X CVT, the extreme CVT, because it's a 400Z?
people are going to be stuffing those cars with the amount of power that's going to put down, and I know most people have not driven that engine or they haven't been in that car from Infinity, but the engine's amazing. Combined with a manual trans, I think people are going to be excited.
I don't disagree with you remotely. So we're reading the paid questions first, and then we'll get to all of your regular questions. Sorry, guys. It's just we got a lot more questions than we probably anticipated.
We got more questions than we even deserve.
Yeah, we're pretty much the biggest losers. Driving adventures for $10. Why didn't VW change their name to Diesel Wagon before Volkswagen? Why the weird side shot for the casting couch? Oh, so can you recommend any cleaners? Love the bromance and content. Buy a soy latte.
You gonna respond to that, Jack?
I'm seeing how you move the camera.
I just threw out my back.
Oh my god. Well, Camisa did something on their name change. It's probably the world's worst idea for a April Fool's joke. Like that backfired so hard, and not even in a good way.
Yeah, agreed.
Rornack 95. Do you guys have plans to review new EVs such as the ID4 or Mustang Mach-E? Well, thank you for the $10, and you're in luck. In April, and the end of it, we're doing a Mach-E with engineering support, and then we're doing an ID4 near the end of summer from VW. K Clean Kicks. Thoughts on going from a 392 Challenger to a stick to an E90 with thoughts of going from a 392 Challenger to an E92 M3. Am I taking a step back? I'm okay with the money pit. I just want a different experience. Well, they are a much different experience. We drove the 392 as the wide body with the automatic.
I think it's like a 25% increase. And I don't like the E92, but I think as an experience, it's well worth it. Just go for it and see what it's like to drive that.
Ducked up goose. Got any advice from a mechanical engineer who wants to work in cars in some capacity? I know that's vague, but that's anything's got to be better than HVAC. As a mechanical engineer who was going to go work for an automotive company, I can tell you this: unless you specialize at a university that has an in with an automotive company, or you did a lot of club-based stuff with automotive, like SAE, Baja, it's probably going to be tough to transition to the automotive industry. Just as a heads up, and most of the engineers that I know who've worked in automotive, who started off in the grind at automotive, left automotive because the money's not there compared to tech. And at the end of the day, if you're doing something that if you're working in an industry that you love, if you love cars and then you're only working on cars, and the realities is if you're a mechanical engineer, you're going to be working in manufacturing, you're going to hate it quick. Sorry if that makes things terrible, but I feel like that's a fair statement, isn't it?
I mean, the thing is about being a certain age, I don't know how old you are, but part of the journey in life is sometimes experiencing it for yourself.
True.
And you have to go through certain phases in your life to actually progress and get to the next step of knowing what you're really passionate about or what you love. I'm not saying that you shouldn't listen to people's advice that have been in the field, but also don't shortchange an experience out of fear that it's going to suck because you may settle into it and maybe
You might not love it. Yeah.
It's tricky.
Soda Thief for $5. I saw a Kia Carnival in person and wished you were there. Oh, that's real sweet.
We could have gotten in the back, and I could have. How much storage was in there for my knickknacks?
Carl K for $5. Love your work, guys. What would you say is the better weekend manual convertible, 370Z or 996 911? Well, the 370Z is going to be way less expensive for you to maintain. So, fried egg 911 convertible or 370Z?
370Z.
Yeah, I wouldn't get an early 911 convertible unless it was air cooled. That's not what I would drive. Kyle Hernandez for $10. Thank you, Kyle, for your donation. Thoughts on getting a used Maserati Ghibli with a warranty for around $30,000 to $40,000? I wouldn't get a Maserati Ghibli.
I'm looking at you right into the soul right now.
No,
Don't do it.
that's a real bad idea.
That's junk. The thing is, it has the waft of luxury, but when you get down to the meat and potatoes,
It's a Chrysler 300.
Yeah, it's not good.
David E for David E, thank you for the $10 donation. Justin for $10 Canadian. I'd love to see you guys review the new Model S with Plaid Plus when it comes out. I'm sure you guys will have a ton of fun with it. Something wrong?
No.
All right. I mean, I would love to do a Model S Plus with Plaid.
We'll definitely get that car in about 25 years
Yeah.
from now.
When the car is about to get phased out and they're onto the model whatever, then we'll get it.
Yeah, they don't go through traditional ways. Well, they don't go through any traditional ways because they're Tesla. So it's not like we're just going to find that car somewhere and be like, hey, man, you want to drive this? It's going to have to come from some owner that is going to be probably 100% anal retentive and think he's driving
God's
a Bugatti
car, yeah.
Veyron. And so it's tricky with the Teslas, and I would love just to drive all of them, but it's not reality.
G done it for $10. Sorry for butchering your name, guys. Thanks for an amazing LFA video and for following up on the 200 series Land Cruiser and giving it the right send off. Keep up the good work. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed both of those videos.
Yeah, I don't know if I enjoyed making the LFA video, but the Land Cruiser I enjoyed, and it's not even my favorite type of car, but I enjoyed the approach of it. Speaking of Tesla, somebody on Instagram had messaged me saying that he's got a Model 3, and I can't say his name or what it is, but it got lemoned out. It's been out of service for 67 days because of various quality issues, from leaking seals in the windows, alignment problems, bad USB ports. It keeps going back and forth, and they can never fix it. And he's taking his money and running from that buyback. and this was a newer model. So it's just, I know that I'm only getting a fraction of the stories, but I just wonder how many of these cars really have bad problems or problems that people just like, oh, it's a Tesla, it's cool, and they don't care. But that's one of the reasons why I don't get overly excited for Tesla products. Jack, tell me the next question. I'm ready.
All right, perfect. Sorry. Now I was just checking in with our very handsome moderator, making sure everything was going okay.
I wish he was in the same room right now.
He's such a good-looking man. His face is literally just made of chins.
Actually, Chinbase is our first AI project. We're using cloud-based infrastructure to formulate his next movements.
In cahoots for $5. Hey Fibs, Wisconsin fan here. Would you guys ever do a meetup at Road America? I treat you to a few beers. Well, in cahoots, when COVID is over or whatever, when we can, I'm not eating that. When we can meet in a large setting, we're going to do a giant viewer meet at Autobahn Country Club. We'd love to meet you there. Road America is too big time for Mark and I. But Autobahn's big time, but they actually enjoy us as human beings, and they're a great facility.
Yeah. No, I'd go to Road America. I mean, it depends what it's for. I would not take my own cars out on that track, but I would go there and hang out.
Yeah, Road America. If you want to meet up at a race weekend or something, hit us up via Instagram. We'd love to go. Reasonable Paul for $10. If you guys remember, I had the dilemma about my 2010 5.7 liter V8 Tundra. After hearing your input, I went and got a new TRD Pro. Hearing all this BS about EVs, I'm wondering if I made a $60,000 mistake. No, you did not. Your TRD Pro will be around for forever.
It will. Don't let too much salt and corrosive materials get up on it, and you will enjoy it for the rest of your life.
Because if you drive it through the winters and don't wash it, it'll be around for about 5 years.
If you wash it in the winters, it's probably even worse if you're keeping it in some high humidity place and like in a heated garage and let all that just simmer in there.
Well, see, I bet this guy, he drives it through the salt and he drives it straight to Florida to a swamp.
Oh, yeah. You drive it right into the swamp.
Perfect. David E. for $5. If you could have a one car for everything, would you still favor a sports car? If so, which ones are the best for everyday use? Ariel Atom, BAC Mono. Those would be the best everyday cars. I don't know. I mean, I tried doing a C7 for a year as my only car, and it was miserable.
Yeah, I'm over that, dude. I think I've grown out of that. I have my cars that I really enjoy driving in small doses, and it depends on where you live. If you live in any type of urban area where there's a lot of traffic, that meter for cool car drops to about this in about 5 minutes.
Yep.
It's really tricky.
To me, there is a, while I'm less interested in them now because I've spent so much time in great cars, I get the point of having something like an IS 500, an ISF, M3, Macan Turbo, Macan GTS, because that's the one car that you can do everything in. But even then, if you're buying like an M2 competition as your only car, which you could drive as your only car, it's still going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it just depends on, again, there's people ask this all the time. They're like, what do you think about this car? And Jack's kind of in a different place than me, but
Yeah.
I
don't have Spawn to worry about or any of that stuff.
I mean, you don't have, it's not that stuff. It's just about like our mentalities are more aligned. Like if you asked 20-year-old Mark what he thought a cool daily driver would be, it would be some ridiculously hardcore sports car that would make you feel like absolute shit to drive every day, but I love that idea of it. Now as an adult, an older, middle-aged, angry adult that wants to punch a hole through this laptop screen at any minute, I want a car that is going to make me feel something when I want it to, and when I don't, I want to sit there with an IV full of some type of narcotic to put me to sleep. So it's, again, it's age, what you've driven, what you haven't driven, and where you live. It has a huge factor in all of that.
So which ones are the best for everyday use? If you needed to use one sports car?
I don't know. I just avoided answering that question by telling a long story that was drawn out.
BRZ if it's cheap, Mustang if it's kind of cheap, M2 competition, M3, 911. Those are your cars if you want a sports car to use every single day. Chris for $5. Will I regret getting an OG LCI M2 6-speed manual purchase? 95% street use, 5% autocross. Is there something else for 45 grand you would get instead? If you really want the manual, for I don't know. So that's the prior to the M2 competition. That's the one. It was a non-M motor. Manual makes it almost still better than the Supra, even though it's slower. I think for 45,000, like Camaro SS1LE. That's kind of like my standard. If you want a car like that, 45 grand's a good deal for an M2.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think you'd be really, really happy with it.
If you're already thinking about it, just go through it, experience that car, because you get to know with a car like that if you like it or not real quick. Like, and test drive's not going to tell you that, but once you live with it every day, you either really appreciate the hell out of it and you go and buy the next one and the next one, or you're just like, yeah, this isn't edgy
For me,
enough
yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Kyle Smith, love the videos. Help me get my ND2. How do I convince my folks to get an LC500 over a Mercedes S560 Coupe? They like bells and whistles on the Mercedes Benz. Well, if you like bells and whistles, you ain't getting that in an LC.
Right. Yeah, and you have family members that are kind of like they're big Mercedes fans. I don't know who it is, but
Yeah.
they like that belt. They like the flair of all the gimmicks and all the shit that doesn't really
Do
add up.
anything, yeah.
Yeah. So you're not going to convince them unless you could be like, look how rare it is. They only sell 100 a month. You'll never see another one.
And just have them drive around in first gear, hitting the rev limiter everywhere.
They probably won't even like that.
No, they won't.
They will hate that because
Going from an S560 to an LC500 is such a enormously different driving experience. Because LC500, it's all about the engine. The S560
it's
is
a Japanese car. That's why you don't like it. I know you. Every time Jack's like he wants to like it, he looks at it and he's like, I don't like it. He doesn't like it because it's Japanese.
but I like driving it.
Until you get out and you're like, oh, once you get out of it, and
I'm
you
back
get
to like 911 immediately.
Exactly. You're back to the German stuff. So if your parents or family members already like German cars, they're not gonna like the LC no matter what you do.
I like how I'm the quarter Japanese guy and I don't like Japanese cars, and you're the white dude's like, Takumis. Todd for $10. Tacoma. That's what Todd said. Meister Chan.
Is that real, Todd?
I hope so.
Where is he?
It just says Todd for $10.
It's not with 3Ds.
No, that's not real Todd. It's fake.
Real Todd is too cheap to spend $10 on that. That would get him like a week's worth of food at the Village Squire.
Meister Chan for $5. Some money for the future Twitch streamer road mic setup. Love y'all. P.S. I think the Sonata N-Line drove my dad away from considering it. Please don't tell Hyundai that. That's the one I went off the rails on. Man, I hated that car. You liked it in the end.
Here, move your mic. Or put your arm down. There you go. Sorry. This is so stupid. So the whole thing with the mic setup is this would 100% work if I would have actually got time to test it, and I don't want to screw around while we're live. But it would 100% work with just a little bit more.
It worked a second ago, too. It worked when we tested it on our TV, and it worked fine. I don't know why it's...
Well, I don't think it really worked. I just think we didn't spend enough time really playing it back, which is what I want to do. So long story short, it will work next time. There's always got to be some technical difficulty, so I can blame somebody else for all
You
my
just blame
problems.
me for being late.
Blame everybody. So the Sonata story is, I got a lot of flack for redoing the end of it because I watched it, edited it, and then I drove the car more. And as I drove the car more, I'm like, it was dry and it was warmer out. And I drove the piss out of that thing. And I'm like, this really is, for and I didn't say it right, but the buying demographic, the people that will actually buy a
People
Sonata N,
confused.
they'll buy it and they'll think that this is one of the best things they've ever driven. And for that demographic, it is a huge success. But if you're going to look at a car like that as what they could have done from more of somebody that has driven other cars besides, just a couple, there's a ton of holes in that car.
Yeah.
But for the people that are going to buy it, it's super fast. It's probably faster than...
It's faster than a GTI.
Yeah.
It's probably faster than the Veloster. Well, maybe not the Veloster.
in a straight line, I bet you it is.
Look,
But it's a really impressive car.
But I wanted it to drive like the Veloster N.
All they would need to do is all they need to do is what they did with that. You put the LSD, the clutchback LSD, and you see how great that car is.
Yeah, it's
to drive.
amazing.
It's that far away, but I don't think the buying demographic that wants that even understands any of it. They're going to get it like, oh my God, look how fast it is. I can burn rubber. And that's it. That's all it is. And I just wanted to try to put that out there, and I did a bad job on it.
No, and I
And you just went off.
went Gary Oldman on that car.
Yeah, you went off. I don't agree with you. I mean, I knew what you were saying, but you were way too hard on it.
My problem with that car was that it just felt like half-assed attempt. Like I have a problem like anything. I have a problem if something's bad and you tried, okay. Right? I'm more willing to accept that. But if you go 50% and you know you went 50% and you just didn't try, that's when I have a problem.
But how many companies could we hold to? You're not holding them to the same standard as every other shitty car
Yeah, I
company
know.
that does the same thing. The STs are all garbage. The SUVs.
Well,
the,
I
the
think they're
new
garbage
N
too, though.
cars, the fake AMG cars.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess you're right.
Like all these other piles are the same way. Why is it so bad with Hyundai doing it? Besides, you don't like the Korean and Japanese cars.
The two nationalities my Asian side is. I don't know, man.
I feel like the reason I kind of agree with you is because I really do feel like they could have done better, and they knowingly took that off the table.
But like the fake AMG cars and BMW piles still drive well, right? They are half-assed attempts, but they still drive
But
properly.
this car's $33,000.
I know.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
know.
paying $60,000, so you have to be able to make the concessions as to, like, if we were going to get on a call with Hyundai, which I'm probably going to wind up having to explain this to them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get on a call and they're going to be like, the target demographic wants something cheap, fun, family oriented, and they don't care about ultimate performance. They care about wow factor in a straight line, turbo thrust, great interior.
But it
good
doesn't
seats.
wow you in a straight line. All it does, at least when I drove it, which is most of the time the weather isn't good, it hops like crazy, like it did in the video, or it obliterates one of the tires.
So
Like I wasn't that hard on the Camry TRD, which has the same fundamental
the
problems.
Camry TRD is worse in many ways.
It is way worse.
I don't know.
All right, moving on. QX Angel XP. He was the gentleman we met at the karting facility, wheezing, and that is in response to the Caliber video. Thank you for the $2, QX. I appreciate it. Space Master Sex Lord for $5. Now, that is a name. Please accept that the 8th gen base Civic is the best auto ever to grace our pasty lords Greuter region. Oh, so you're late for your oil bath, Mr. Goose.
I need an oil bath. I'm so dried out right now from that Arby's. It's sucking the soul out of me. And one day I'm gonna be turned inside. I'm gonna wake up inside out, and I'm just gonna be a pile of like roast beef rolling around.
God, dude. Machiavelli Gaming. First time buyer, just won a nice, reliable daily. Saw a 2013 GS350 with 110,000 miles. It's a one owner, clean Carfax, and I like the style. Is it a good car to get?
You answer that.
You're Mr. Lexus. The 2013 GS350 is current body style, right?
The GS,
Yeah.
I think they updated it somewhere in 2015.
Look it up.
In 2015 they updated it. I'm almost positive.
So this is the older.
I think it is. It's the one before the refresh.
Is it a reliable car?
Yeah, hell yeah, it's reliable.
One owner car, clean Carfax?
Then go for it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Lexus, is it's got this like horrible-ish. The older ones, they're not that sexy. They're just kind of like good enough luxury, super reliable, great resale value, and you know it's gonna work, and that's why I love it. But it doesn't have the cool factor of like an M3 or like some of the other luxury cars that carry like the badge stuff with it. But I don't know. I think it's a good. I would definitely get it if it's a good deal.
Yeah, just get it inspected.
Yeah, get inspected for sure.
Meister Chan, as consumers, what is the best way we can provide feedback to automakers to incorporate changes in the next generation, i.e. removing piano black? Get involved in a focus group. That's probably it, really, because buying trends, or you just stop buying their cars.
The people in charge of that are product planners. So if you want to make a complaint, you somehow you need just more than just yourself. If you own a car, that's the best way. You call in customer service and you tell them, look, I have this car. They take your VIN. You're like, oh, what's your complaint? You tell them like piano black sucks. They'll eventually get that over to the product planners. But the product planners are the ones that make the suggestions to the designers to make mid-cycle refreshes or those types of changes. So hammer those people, hammer them to death.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality. There's often you find yourself just yelling into a vacuum, though, if you're
Yeah.
a consumer and you have problems with your car. Ayu, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. For $5, what car do you recommend for someone that is trans and non-binary? Any car. I don't know why gender orientation.
What's the question?
What car do you recommend for someone that is a trans person or non-binary?
So something that's kind of like neutral across the board. Like that's not one way or the other.
That is okay.
Like,
That isn't masculine or feminine. Most. I don't feel like a lot of cars have a gender association with them.
Nissans are pretty like a Murano.
Subarus. Some of the
Subarus.
Audi and VW cars are pretty. I feel like I hate to use the term All right.
Not generic, but I mean like there's certain cars definitely don't carry an identity toward it. They look more machine than they do like okay, a Mustang is just pure testosterone. Like a Camaro
Yeah.
is like
I think it's personal opinion at that
Yeah.
point, so we'll move on. Joe Taka for €5. What are your thoughts on Chris Harris's tweet on the influence? The guy. So, long story short, there was an influencer that wanted $25,000 to do a video on suspension that he also wanted for free on a GR Yaris, and Chris Harris called him out for being, that's ridiculous.
to take 25 grand to do that.
Yeah. So the suspension company didn't approach the influencer. The influencer approached the suspension company that he wanted a suspension set up for a car, and then he wanted 25 grand.
Well, if he's an influencer, what else does he have some tie to a company? Does he like work for like a media outlet or a
No,
journalist?
he's just like a vlogger. I don't want to name the vlogger, but it's a vlogger.
You don't want to name the vlogger, but his name and channel.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. I mean, isn't this what the whole
So
society?
Chris Harris basically want influencers are a cancer.
Well, so there's a documentary on Netflix about I think it's Netflix where they take 5 people and try to turn them into influencers, fashion influencers. And it's I can't remember the name of it, but it's the whole culture of social media right now. Everybody that is trying to do this is doing it. I don't see how it's any different in the car industry versus makeup or any other bullshit products. I mean, people have a way to do it and get free stuff. People love free stuff. Like they literally will do anything for it. And if you're popular on top of it in social media, that's like isn't that like the high school fantasy for people to be popular and get money and free stuff? So yeah, whether it's car shit or anything else, I mean, it's not going away until social media goes away.
Yeah, I do think the vlogger thing for cars, in some ways, actually hurts the car community more than helps it as well.
Okay, so what about and I don't watch the vlogger stuff because I don't have time and it's not creatively interesting to the type of videos that I'm doing. But like the Stradman's video yesterday popped up on my feed, which I don't watch his stuff. I know who he is, but he took 2 cars to an indoor mall, rented out the indoor mall so he could drag race a GTR and a Bugatti, get a cajillion views, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is the fundamental concept of clickbait, and like, that's social media. It's a viral concept, and everybody is trying to do that. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I would never do it. But it's never gonna stop.
No, and it makes money too, and it won't stop till it's.
Yeah, it won't stop until people stop watching it. I think that's what's forgotten is these people aren't popular because they're on an island alone. People are actually watching it, so that's got to mean something.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question. Bear with me. John Blackman, thank you for the $2. Mopar. Oh. He asked us if we were dating. Sadly, to both of our significant others, no, Mark and I are not dating.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I've been working on Jack for years.
Mopar 92 for $10. Did you get an extra cup of cheese dip for your curly fries?
No, I didn't. But Jack still has yet to eat this delicious roast beef and cheddar with the onion baguette.
Oh,
Not
dude.
just look at it. Oh, Jack, you're gonna enjoy this. Don't worry, I'll hold it under my armpit for an hour to keep it warm for you. You can take a bite.
$10 for $5. Here's $10 for JJ.
Oh, JJ.
Phil Castro, looking for a semi-fun mid-sized sedan that's under 5 years old, but seems like everything has a turbo. Is long-term reliability okay with those? Any models to avoid or seek? Semi-fun mid-sized sedan that's under 5 years old. I just
Taurus show.
no turbo.
Oh. Old Taurus show. It's too old.
I don't know, V6 Camry. His argument is all these cars have turbos, and are they reliable? I mean, like the Accord 2.
What about the 2017 Accord with a V6?
Yeah. Or like the 2.
Before they switched over to the four poppers. I think that's when they cut over, is in 2018. You could do that or a Camry. I mean, I don't know what else you're going to do besides like a Lexus. Like a Lexus pile with a V6.
True. No, and the turbo part, right? Like the Hyundais have some issues, but if you get a long warranty, you're probably fine.
Yeah, but they're all turbo everything. They have
Yeah.
only the base trim levels get some like
Naturally
naturally
aspirated,
aspirated motor they pulled out of the deepness of the warehouse somewhere.
Wild frames for 10 BGNs. Do you think we can compare the IS350 and the Mazda 3 2.5 since the last one is $10,000 less, apart from the Lexus's rear-wheel drive and V6, of course? Can you compare an IS350 and a Mazda 3 2.5 liter?
No.
Yeah, they're not comparable at all.
Mm-mm.
They're entirely different
No,
vehicles.
you wouldn't even get close to that. You wouldn't even be able to. They're not even comparable.
No, they're not.
They're just totally different.
Andy the Lamb for $20. Thank you, Deb, and I imagine this is actually Joe. $500 if you two kiss like seals fighting over the last piece of kelp.
You wish.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I can't get paid to do things that are outside of my moral compass.
Oh my God. LGD 1 kill you for $10. Does your opinion on the GLB 250 still stand? Option GLB or base GLB. Buying in October. Love you guys. That's a car you did the video on. So.
I did.
And
I don't know. It was so forgettable.
you liked it though in the
I mean,
video.
I did.
You're like,
but
wow, it's cool. I remember I drove it once. You're like, wow, this car's cool, Jack.
I know there's a cool factor to it. I mean, there is a cool factor to it, but it's not like in terms of a driving experience. It's not something that I completely remember. So if you're buying it for the right reasons, of like you like the interior, you kind of like the here and now aspect of it, then you're gonna love it. I mean, it's a car for different type of people. If like
You won't like a base.
no, you wouldn't.
You would not like a base
No,
GLE.
you have to put some stuff in it to make it.
So that's the problem, right? It's like either a base bigger vehicle or the small GLB.
Yeah.
I'd also look at an X5 or an X3. There's an Arby's commercial that has King Kong. Oh no, it's a different.
That's an ad.
All right. Keegan McCallum for $10. Hey guys, so I'm getting a Turo rental for my 2,000-mile honeymoon trip to Detroit from Detroit to Nashville. I'm between a 09 370Z manual. I can't believe someone is Turoing a manual car. Anyway,
Yeah, that's dangerous, man.
a 15 BMW M240i X-Drive or a 16 Scat Pack manual Challenger. What would you get if you're in a Turo and you have a 370Z, an M240i, and a Scat Pack Challenger with a manual?
Scat Pack Challenger with a manual.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
then the BMW next.
Yeah, I agree. Dan Knowles. Oh, here's an extra $5. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Ty 811 for $10. Bought a 2017 CPO Nissan Murano in September. Your older review helped me on it. I paid $18,000 for it in Carvana. Today, Carvana is now offering $19,000 as trade-in. Car prices are going insane.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
The Murano, and I wish I could get into a newer one again, but when it came out, it's so weird because it's a unique. People forget about it. You don't see a lot of them anymore on the market, but it's a very cool interior. It's very, again, Nissan, and that's what I liked about it. I liked that it was just uniquely that brand.
QX Angel, again, for $10. Should manufacturers integrate cup holder into the shifter design, meaning the cup holder is on top of the shifter instead of next to it? It's on it, so you won't hit drinks with your hand when shifting, and you get a free weighted shifter. Now that's big brain.
The amount of engineering that would have to go into that, because you would need like
Yeah,
a
but
ball
gyro,
joint,
yeah.
a gyroscope on it with some type of like sensor, like a yaw rate sensor to keep it level.
I would love one on a Challenger. You have like a triple gulp for on the Challenger shifter for like the kind of person who normally buys Challengers.
What would you do though for like slam shifting or bumps? Like how would you?
You have
stabilize
suspension
it?
in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it'd be suspended and like self-leveling.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Why not just have like a quadricopter that just like hovered the drink around so it's not subject?
No, that's why
to,
my helmet has the two straws on it, and like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, where my Hans anchors are on my helmet, I
It's
actually
just-
have
yeah,
drink holders.
That's a good idea.
Val Libris for $5. Mark, you haven't stopped fidgeting. How much Adderall are you on?
I'm fidgeting because I'm actually really pissed off about the fact that the audio is screwed up and that I have to sit here like hunched over next to Jack to talk into the microphone. I'm not gonna get into it, but it's got me so, like I said, like I'm holding in this burning rage because little things like this drive me absolutely nuts.
He's not wrong. Literally, Mark will probably rant to me about this for like 5 years when he's done. He's like, God damn it. Zodiac for $5. Best pick among these for a family of 5. Palisade, Telluride, Highlander, Pilot, New Pathfinder.
Palisade.
Yeah, Palisade, Telluride. Whichever one you get a better deal on, they're the same, and whichever of the two that you like. The Highlander, though, gets really good fuel economy. It gets really, really good fuel economy, and it's a Toyota, so that means you'll be dealing with a Toyota dealer. And it's probably going to be more reliable than the Highlander. The Palisade or Telluride.
All right, so if you're gonna keep it, just get the Highlander. If you're only gonna keep the thing for like 4 or 5, like 4 years tops, then get the Palisade Telluride.
Stephen Cowley, 30K and work remote. Buy another AP2, S2000, or Miata. P.S. I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. So you are a bigger guy at 6'3". The AP2, the AP2 is a better buy. It will hold its value, but man, that's a tight squeeze if you're
You can't
6'3".
adjust the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That's the deal breaker there for that car. The fact that if you have longer legs and you're bigger, you're gonna be crunched in there like a
sardine.
yeah.
is.
You're gonna be suffocating in that car. You need something.
If you are somehow comfortable in that car, get the AP2. It's a better buy.
Yeah.
It'll hold its value.
That's one of those, dude. When you get to that size, when you get bigger like that, or if you're taller, you can't listen to anybody. You have to get in them and see if you can drive those cars. I mean, I've met so many S2000 owners, even people that are way bigger than that, like pushing 300 pounds, and they fit in there and they didn't complain about it because they just were so blinded that they wanted to drive it. But just meeting certain people that can't tolerate it, just get in all these cars and then you'll know right away.
Next question. Bear with me. Apparently, I'm being covered by the screen a little bit. Wow, we got a lot of questions, Mark. Chamilton 83 for $10. What are your thoughts on the GLA 45 AMG? I think it's underrated hot hatch that is also luxurious and better than anything else at $45,000 in CPO'd.
I did not drive a GLA yet.
I've
asked.
GLA.
You have. I've asked for it like 4 times. It was like when it first came out. I never got it, and it was one of those cars that I thought I would really like. Assuming it's like every other like AMG-ish car, Mercedes. What's your problem with it?
Gearbox. It's older AMG gearbox. It's not the, and for $45,000, it's really cool. But you can like get an S5 Sportback, right? That's a way cooler car, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know. For me, like the GLA, it's so much money at that point at $45,000. Yes, it's probably better than a Golf R. You know, it doesn't have the Type R problems of looking horrible, and it's an automatic. And if that's what you want, then if that's what you want, get an S5 Sportback. It accomplishes the same thing.
You want to lean back? So I just feel like I'm dying, like crunched forward.
All right, all right.
Can we just sit like this?
Sit like gentlemen. All right. So the next question that we have is from Soda Thief. How do you guys talk and sound the same? I don't feel like we sound the same at all, other than the fact that we both have two male voices.
I got this a lot with my friends from a earlier day that, like Tom,
Yeah.
Todd, and Greg. Once you start hanging out with somebody, and this has nothing to do with male, female, or in between, even like pets.
People have asked me to move the mic here so it's even closer to you, Mark.
God, your guns. What are you lifting?
I clip it by my biceps.
What are you lifting? Let me lift some. Why don't you lift this into your mouth?
No, I'll eat that later.
All right. So when you start hanging around people long enough, you become similar in the way that your dialect becomes in terms of catchphrases, etc. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
We spend too much time together,
We've been friends for almost 7 years, or probably longer now.
and our periods are even in
Oh,
sync
yeah,
now.
it's-
Yeah, we get.
Oh my god, dude. Joe Taka for €10. What are your thoughts? Oh no, I already answered that. Bravo Tube. Have you guys ever driven or made contact with the time bombs that were the 2003 Mazda Protege?
Yes,
What did you think of the Mazda Protege?
Mazda Speed Protege.
Sure.
The Protege was my friend's sister or cousin had one, and hers was rock solid until she did an oil change on it and
Forgot to put
the
oil.
plug back in it, or the oil plug was not tightened and blew the motor. And the car, even after it was repaired, lasted like 150,000 miles. The thing was, they're rust rockets. Those cars, they would last, but they would rot out, and that's what sucked about them.
This is an age thing. The only people I knew with Mazda Proteges were when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I finished high school in Minnesota, and they're all rotted out.
Greg had a 2003.5, or was it? Yeah, it must have been an 03.5 Mazda Speed Protege, and every single suspension thing broke on it, like, because it was like when Mazda was like, "Oh, let's do aftermarket parts," so they had like Racing Heart or Racing Beat, or I don't remember all the brands.
So
on it.
garbage.
Like the sway bar end links would constantly break. They would just break for no reason, and everything was just rusting on it. So, but people loved those cars. Again, it had like this cult following, like the CRXs and all. It's the same thing.
Ryan Kwan for 20 Canadian. Moving to Germany in July. Any forbidden fruit that I should go look at getting to drive?
A Chevy Malibu.
Alpine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
Alpine. If you want to have an interesting time, you remember the old RS, like the first generation RS Fords, was like a gajillion horsepower in front wheel
Yeah.
drive.
What about the Megans? Those like high,
Yeah.
strong, like 300 horsepower.
The RS Megans, or Megans. Yeah, there are lots of really cool cars. Honestly, if I moved to Europe or wherever where I could get cars that I couldn't get here in the States, and I knew I wasn't spending a lot of time there, I'd purposely buy something or spend time in cars that I couldn't get here.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, you get all the great small hot hatches and the Alpine that you can't get in North America. Supa Pictov. Dang, I so much want to see you driving a Citroën. Well, fly us to France, and we will
I'll take Peugeots and Citroens and.
over all the GM piles. Gats for $10. Tell your boys at Chicago Auto Pros that your collab videos convinced me to drop 2 G's at their shop. Don't tell my wife.
What was that? A keychain you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds up fast. That's like it's a whole different level when you get into like paint protection and films and ceramic coatings and car care. And I've never had a car where I was like, oh, I gotta have it. And then recently, the couple cars that I've had, I'm like, let's do it. And then I'm thinking about it, like how much money I spent. It's nuts.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. If you have a really cheap car, and it doesn't have a lot of intrinsic value, and you don't look at it from an emotional perspective, it's hard to justify some of that stuff. But once you have a more expensive vehicle, it's like it's almost expected now that a car has been PPF'd,
Yep.
which is the tough part, unless it's like a lease or something. All right, moving on to the rest of these questions. Calvin Lee for $7 Canadian. What's the difference between an LC500 from 2020 and a 2021 LC500?
You already know that, Jack, don't you?
Yeah, so the suspension changes to the 2021 LC500. They went to a different, was it damper design?
I think so.
Yeah, they went to a different damper design. The cars are much softer, more GT car-like, but you do lose some of the what little sharpness there is in an LC500.
Yeah, so one of the control arms was changed from steel to aluminum. The bushings are changed. The shock absorbers were completely redone. The shock absorbers now have longer stroke, so more compression stroke. So that's why you feel them being drastically more soft compared to the 2020s. When you get to the 2018 to the 2019, it's like night and day. When you get from the 2020 to the 2021, it's even more night and day. The car is just like a cloud compared. And the transmission tuning has been revised again from 2020 to 2021. So that mid-range where you're shifting or manually shifting, it's smoother at the lower end. And I can't remember all the other changes, but mechanically that's about it.
Yes, I mean, you bought the 2020. You got yours specifically because of the way it handled.
The reason I got a 2020 over the 2021 is because the 2021 was too soft. And that's just for me, because if I ever decide to take the LC to a track, which I will just for the fun of doing it, not because it's for anything other than just my own personal amusement, the 2021 is so soft that I feel like you're going to start to get into a lot of that like roll problems with the tires where you're going to overwhelm them because it doesn't have adjustable camber in the front. So you're kind of like on the limits of you're always going to be wearing the shoulders of those tires.
But you drive, and I make this joke all the time. You drive the LC500 harder than anyone else on the planet.
Well, yeah, every time and hopefully you're not buying this car if I sell it, but it doesn't matter. When I take that car out, when I know it's a good day and I get to enjoy it, I am always looking down at that speedometer and it's over 130 miles an hour. And I am like just driving the pants off of it until that oil temperature is like halfway up until almost hot. And I know I'm the only person that drives it like that, but I've never had an issue with it. Granted, I don't have a lot of miles on it, but every time I drive it, I get such enjoyment out of that on the street, of course, because it is just...
It's a great car.
It's a great car on the street. There's so much fun with it.
Brendan Barber, what are your thoughts on the upcoming GV70?
It looks amazing. It looks like it's going to be... The problem with the G80 is it's a little bit too stodgy. And the GV80 doesn't feel as like buttoned down as the G80. And nobody cares about G80s. And I feel like nobody cares about the GV80 because it's just, there's something off with it. And I think that the 70 is...
Because it'll be an X3 competitor.
Yeah, it looks better. It's smaller proportions. It looks more cohesive. The interior looks like more fitted. I don't know. I think it'll do well if they don't screw up the marketing.
No Good Nicks for $10. Is the new A6 Allroad worth it over the Outback for a nice, fun shrimp wagon?
That's you, dude. You're
Absolutely. If you can afford almost double the price, it is the A6 Allroad we had was amazing.
You and Deb from Andy the Lab, you guys are like married to that car. I got
great.
out and I'm like, it's pretty cool. But I mean, it's not like, but if I guess the thing is, it's a wagon, right? I mean, there's nothing like it aside from the Volvos.
If you like after we do the GT3 video and you get out and go, it's pretty cool, I'm going to strangle you.
Well, I would still have the Volvos, even though the drivetrain sucks. The audio system's better. It looks more timeless.
Well, it depends how good your local dealer showroom looks. If you're in there all the time,
yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's okay. I would. So over a Subaru to answer the question, yes, 100%.
the motor alone,
It's like inconceivably better than the Subaru, like on every level aside from cost.
Verism Rip for $5. I wanted to email you guys, but thanks for all the information I could ever imagine on the Mazda 3. I've been enjoying dailying the turbo. Worth it. Well, I'm glad you love the Mazda 3.
Yeah, the Mazda 3 is a cool car. It really is. It's like a special car in that segment. I don't know. It's a tough one for me because I wish they had that extra trim level that was like balls to the wall. But it's like that. It's what you wanted, like that affordable luxury car to be. That's what it is to me. Like when I was 25 and I thought, oh, I want a Lexus one day or I want an Acura. That's what that car feels like to me, but at a price point that you could afford.
Josh Amon for $5. Any advice on what clubs to join at Iowa State for a career in the automotive industry? Would solar car be the most appealing to automakers? Man, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, but I did go to Iowa State for my mechanical engineering degree. I don't know, Baja and Formula SAE, solar car, they're all good options. I think it's really dependent on how involved you get in the organization, how much work you put in to make yourself marketable to an automotive OEM later. I felt like that was a genuine answer to a genuine question.
To get attracted by companies now, and you can testify that to the
It's incredibly difficult.
yeah,
And you
or,
need
I'm
to know
sorry,
someone.
to attest to that. Like you have to know somebody, and you have to be involved
Mm-hmm.
somehow in whatever you can get into, where you're rubbing elbows with people that work in that industry. If you're just coming out of school and you don't have any,
You might as well forget it.
yeah, it sucks. It really does.
Nate Mathewson for $10. Saved up and bought a 2015 Focus ST3 at 19. I've sunk in $3,000 in repairs already. What would you guys' thoughts on the Focus ST, a functioning one?
What, he's a Fiesta or a Focus?
Focus. So he had a Focus ST that's been broken.
The ST3.
Yeah, it's like a
So
fully
it's the
loaded.
last generation or the most recent gen? Or?
It's the most recent gen, and I think it's fully loaded. But he's had a bunch of problems. What do you think of the Focus ST? That's his question.
I never liked the car. And that's just my personal opinion. I felt like it was lacking in quality. Let me just put it that way. It just didn't feel like a very well built car. It was kind of like the fun car they threw out there at a cheap price point, and then all the details were kind of forgotten. You get some people that say that's been the most reliable fun car they've had, and some people like that one where it's broken. I prefer the Fiesta. I feel like the Fiesta is really shitty but super fun. The fun factor of the Fiesta outweighs the fact of how shitty it is, and it's so cheap. I don't know what it is now.
Low teens.
Okay, so I mean, it's like that's a car you can just drive like an absolute asshole, and it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, I think the Fiesta ST is a dramatically better car than the Focus ST. I've never liked the Focus ST either. It's compared to the Mark 6 GTI, I get why they were popular, but today in 2020,
it's a hard sell.
Yeah.
When you get into the Civics, you get into the Mazda 3s, you get into the GTIs, and you get into Focus. Like, just not even driving them. When you just sit on the inside of those things, you're like, oh my God, this
the Focus
is
ST
horrible.
is horrible. Scooter, thank you for the $10 donation. Alfred Bach Brackley, 1967. Any thoughts on resuming the Savage Geese podcast, or did I miss an announcement? Well, we tried doing that. Just a time problem. We were on a podcast with Everyday Driver, which I'm sure no one listened to because it was us. I don't have a problem doing it. Or you don't have a problem doing it. It's just time.
The other part is what kind of killed it for me is the guest situation. Like the remote guest thing, it loses a lot when you don't have somebody there in person. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it was, and granted, the first couple were with people that were remote, but I found there was something lacking when you couldn't have a conversation with somebody, and in terms of viewership as well, there's something lost. So whenever this stuff ends, I probably will switch over to trying to do it again. I prefer almost like, granted, we don't have guests on here, but once I get the live stream bugs out sorted, this to me is the closest thing I'm going to do to a podcast right now.
No, I agree. I mean, those are the podcast thing. It's hard to compete in that segment.
Oh, there's so many people doing it. Like Matt Fair was talking about it because I was on his podcast once, and he was talking about like people inviting him to be on their podcast, and he's like, I don't have a problem being on your podcast, but let me know when you're on episode like 70. Once you're committed to it, then I will be on it, because it's hard to do a podcast because there's nothing really that you get out of it other than just people have, it's just another, it's icing on the cake of your content that you're already doing. I would rather spend my time, that's all I have time to do is make the videos.
Yep. And I mean, look at literally what you're watching. Our team is you and I, Chris, who volunteers, and my old man. and Todd when he has time to help.
Yeah, and Todd would do a lot more, but I just don't have the time
Time,
to integrate him
yeah.
into everything.
Because literally, if we're not here doing this, we're working with companies, we're doing whatever we're doing with OEMs or filming cars. It's a lot.
Or I'm sitting editing.
Yeah, which is what he does most of the time now. Here's one for the $10 from. Oh no, I didn't want to skip ahead. Kevin Chung for $5. I have a used 2017 Mini Clubman S, all four, plus an old beater CRV. Should I get a cheap used fun car or keep the Mini and mod? The nice thing about the Mini is it's a modern car, and you get all the accoutrements of having a modern car, and hopefully you still have a warranty.
Right.
I don't know. It really depends on what you're doing, Kevin. If you're gonna race, if you want to do autocross and track days and stuff, the problem with having an expensive car is when it breaks, it has expensive problems.
Yes, absolutely.
So just keep that in mind. Mark M. For $10, here's one for the laughs on that Viper review when Jack went ham on the V10. I just went through college and realized it wasn't just meant to be. Everyone should try being their own boss at least once. It's very insightful. Thanks, Mark, and I'm glad you enjoyed the Viper video that this Mark hated so much. You hated that car.
I did. I did. It's everything about it is so right, and everything about it is so wrong.
Bartlett Mobile for $5 Canadian. Sim racing has filled the gap for me in regards to the auto enthusiasm. Do you still partake?
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Like I talked to Deb. I keep bringing up Andy the Lab. I feel like there's only like 3 people in my circle now. It's just Jack, my teddy bears, and Andy the Lab. I try to even her dogs now. I have pagers, and I page them all the time. Love notes. But I told her, I'm like, I would really like to get on just to race her online, but I don't even have the time to do it. Like I would have to go to the shop. I'd have to download all the shit, which is going to take me a day to update my laptop and then get the right drivers on there. Because of course, I run Quadro stuff, like the certified ones for editing, and then I have to change it to ones that are more suited for it. Just by the time I do it, I'm going to lose energy to do it.
This guy, he and I used to play Call of Duty every so often, and it was like the Special Olympics of playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But it's the effort part, and the last thing that you and I want to do now with our limited time off is to make the thing that we want to do to relaxing work.
Well, that's the problem with racing is if you're doing it seriously and it
It's
gets
work.
competitive, it is work. And it's not like getting in my car and going out and flying on some back roads where it's amusing. No, I have to sit there. I got to wait for the race to start. And then you have one incident, you're out and you blow an hour and you don't even get to race. I mean, you don't have to do that, but it's just same thing with Call of
That's
Duty.
why you need to pit her at 90 miles an hour in a
It's on
sim.
an oval. Yeah.
A Scooter, thank you for the $10. Vlad for $20. Hit me up with an unbiased 2000 GTO review. I have one you can use. I want you to tell me how terrible the plastic is while you warm up a McRib on the engine.
The 6-liter GTO?
I hope it is.
Because you know what? I'll tell you one thing about the GTO. When that came out,
It was amazing.
the 5.7, I drove that one at a dealership. I wanted to buy it. I was literally going to buy it. I'm like, this is the best GM I've ever been in, because at that point I had no idea it wasn't GM.
Yeah.
Literally, it was Holden. And I'm like, this is not even a GM interior. And then I realized, okay, well, that's why I liked it. But when the 6-liter came out and I drove that thing and I actually got to drive it, I'm like, I want to own one of these ones.
It's amazing.
It's horrible, but amazing.
No, it's amazing.
It is. It's such a cool car. I don't know. It's got a unique personality.
I drove a cammed 6-liter. I think it's an LS2. LS5. I don't remember. I don't know my
John
cammed
Chevy.
6-liter GTO, and that car was incredible. Absolutely, in the worst kind of ways.
As soon as you said LT something, it's got to be GSURE.
Well, Vlad, if you're local to the Chicagoland region, please email contact at savagegeese.com.
Oh, you shouldn't have put my email address.
No, perfect.
That's why you have to go through the website. Well, now everybody knows, and you ruined it. And the 5 people that are watching this are gonna know my contact email.
Contact us through the website. Vince Jordan for $5. I'm rich. Why is Mark's mic a problem?
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not getting into that, bro.
Cheyenne for $5. Favorite EV at the moment, on sale or announced? Keep up the great work.
Okay, thank you.
Favorite EV, come on. Lexus LFZ, because it's a Lexus. What the hell are you doing?
What's a 1LRGUE?
I have no idea.
That's my favorite engine.
Is it like a V8 from Lexus, because it's a UR?
Oh, you're good. You got it.
Yeah.
No, it's a V10. It's a V10
The
LFA motor. I couldn't remember the engine code. I just was trying to be an asshole, but my time passed. So what was that comment again?
This fucking guy. I told you, like, it's like Chris and you remind me of Norm Macdonald. You just try to make yourself laugh, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, what?
Favorite EV at the moment from Cheyenne?
From Cheyenne. Oh, I thought you were talking about the Cayenne.
Yeah, no.
No, the name is
Yeah,
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne.
My favorite EV, I haven't even driven it. Probably the Audi that's just coming out, the Taycan clone.
The e-tron?
Yeah, the e-tron. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's really unfair because I don't even know what it's like. But
It's
it looks
Scott's car.
Cool. It looks cool.
The Porsche Taycan.
Yeah.
Turbo S is my favorite
Yeah,
EV.
the pile that I can't afford. The cool car that I can't afford is my favorite one.
Yeah. I don't like. Yeah. The only EV I would consider buying is the Taycan, but I don't have $181,000 to pay for a Taycan S.
The Soul EV is pretty cool, and I'm being dead serious. It's got a good range. Of course, we can't get it anywhere, but it's independent rear suspension, which none of the other Souls have. It's got good power. It's got a ton of cargo space, and it's unique. And I know that I'm gonna get somebody's gonna rip on me for that. But it's cheap. That's the thing. You can get it for like.
So is the Taycan if you get a 300-month loan.
I go from. It's right. I go from the e-tron with a 144-month loan to
144. Wow, you're bougie. I want 300.
Mini once they go EV. I think is going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the Mini that where I drove, it just
It was unbelievably fast.
yeah, it is. It was an afterthought car. They're like, oh, we got to try to stuff a battery back in this car, and they did, and it worked great, and it felt great to drive. It just has no range. But once you get that form factor with some like 300-mile range, it's going to be so much fun to drive some of these cars.
Cade for $5. Why did Jack kill Todd? I did not kill Todd. He's in the chat talking away.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he is.
Todd, tell me a secret, buddy.
What? That's not going to go well.
Oh, I know.
I buried her in the woods.
He's going to get banned. Shin's going to make sure Todd doesn't get banned.
Will Matt for $5. Another question. Would you rather have a G63S AMG? Oh, this is going to trigger you in M8 competition.
Oh, God.
Or an Audi RS7?
You got to answer that. I can't.
Audi. Wouldn't you get the Audi? You would get the Audi.
I would get the Audi.
Yeah. We're actually doing an RS6 next week. So RS6 wagon from Mancuso Customs, who also tuned it and put an exhaust on it. So huge thanks to Brian Janty over there for getting us the car. That'll be amazing. Next question. You're playing Todd's part?
Of course.
Eric Rodman, awesome stream geese, bang for buck lease, and best to drive. Kia Sorento SX or Hyundai Santa Fe Limited.
Santa Fe.
All right, there you
The
go.
old ones or the new ones?
The new ones is the lease.
Shit. Then the Sorrento.
The Sorrento.
Yeah, because they made the exterior of the new Santa Fe so weird that I can't take it. I like the previous body style.
But the new one's grotesque.
Yeah, I can't.
You trying to find Todd's part?
Yeah, was it in the series white?
Yeah, it was in the series white. Look at the very end.
Oh, okay. Let me close this ad here.
John, thank you for the $5. Michael Acosta for $10. Looking for a car in the $15,000 to $20,000 range region. 6th gen Camaro V6, 370Z, or 335i E92. Would prefer Manuel in the Camaro, especially due to the unreliability of the 8-speed trans. All right, so between the 6th gen Camaro V6, 370Z, or 335i, what would you buy?
The
370Z.
370Z. Yeah. And just for a second, we need to do a break for Todd just to break up all of our talking because I'm getting a little dry here.
right, guys, you did great today. You ran so well and perfect. I just want to introduce you to our new friend here, XL12. Oh, she's so tight and sharp. I'd hate anything to happen to you. I think that young gentleman with the white Japanese car, I think we're going to use the C5 on him. But his guts would look lovely on this lightweight Sears. You know, I really love to hear this. I just got to hear this. Oh, my! Oh!
All right, back to the
I need a
questions,
selfie.
because we're going to be here for 5 years at this point. Freddie, for $10. Hey guys, I'm interested in buying a C5 Z06. Is this too much car for someone who doesn't know how to drive stick? Should I consider other manual cars or buy what I want? Thanks for the feedback. It'd be too much car if it was your first car and if you've never driven a sports car before. But if you don't know how to drive stick, I mean, just learn. It's not a hard.
Yeah, just get somebody that can really teach you how to do it properly. You know what I mean? Like, don't do it. Don't go and take an expensive car and force yourself to do it.
Yeah, because if you kill a clutch on a trans-axle Corvette, it's not going to be a good time.
Yeah. Just be smart about it. Get somebody that's really good at teaching and can work with you so you're not destroying your car. Or just borrow somebody's manual car. Well, then you got to pay for that shit too. But.
Moses, or Mose, for $5. Want to send a shout out to a guy who stopped when my car broke down at a pizza joint near Chicago, and he was like, "Have you ever watched Savage Geese on YouTube?" Did he just drive away after that?
Did he just drive over your body, just hit you with his car?
Free Steve for $5. Best car under $10,000, replacing a 2005 V60R. Won a 2010 to 13 Mustang, 1980 300ZX, a 280ZX. Think about a long-term Mustang 0509, Volvo V50, C30, G35, 9th Gen Civic Coupe. Under $10,000.
G35.
There you go. It's probably going to rot out, but
That's a tough one, man. Like, that's a Todd question right there.
under 10,000.
The Volvos are going to be, obviously these are going to be project cars that are sitting in the garage. You ain't driving these every day, I would hope. But if you're
No,
gonna,
I'm sure this is the daily.
if you're going to do a daily, I'd just get a G35.
Or the 9th Gen Civic or 8th Gen.
Yeah, because you start getting to the older Volvos and you get the parts issues and, weird shit. But that's my opinion on it.
John for $5. Do you Bears fans ever go for rips in Wisconsin? Because if you haven't, you probably should.
I don't, and I'm pretty close to Wisconsin, but for the amount of time that we
have, it's just not worth
just
it.
driving up there, it's not worth it. And I'm not a Bears fan. My dad took that over for me. He's always, well, actually, you know what? I think he's finally given up. It's taken him like 120 years. Aside from 85 and 86, I think that was the glory days.
Daniel Stark, any hope on Mazda releasing a Mazda 3 turbo all-wheel drive manual in the next few model years? No. Give up hope. They're not putting a manual in the Mazda 3 turbo all-wheel drive.
I don't know. They're going to have to come up with a manual for their all-wheel drive system. If there is a manual to be found, it will be in the Mazda 3 first. I feel like that's not the priority.
No, it's going to be in their RX-9 with a V10.
Yeah, right. I think it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen anytime soon.
Woman respecter for $10.69. I see what he did there. Thoughts on the new Blackwings coming with a standard with a manual? It's going to be amazing.
Oh, the caddies?
Yeah, the one that got launched. I sent a video over to Mark. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, Jack's like, I opened it up for 2 seconds. I'm like, yeah. No, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I'm shocked. And Jack's like, I can't believe they did this. And I had to sit back there and think. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird. It really is. Maybe it was a response to the vet not having a manual. It'll open up that market for them.
I think like 5 people are going to buy it. And then, yeah.
People are like, oh man, it's got a manual. And nobody's going to buy it.
I had the conversation with my dad. My dad is Mr. Jag XJ, and he's like, oh, I was giving him a hard time about it. I'm like, you need to buy something else one of these days. He's like, what else would I buy? I'm like, Caddy with the manual and the V8. He's like, And I'm like, he loves manual cars. It's like, I ain't buying no Cadillac. I don't know why he's suddenly Southern, but it's true.
Yeah, my buddy, his dad was big into cars, and he went through the same thing like your dad. He had a Legend, the Type 2, like all these Japanese cars. And one day he bought a Cadillac. And
Did he have a stroke?
No, maybe, but like my friend, he's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you buying this? And he's like, oh, it's comfortable. And then, it's like
Yeah,
old
it's like
man
my
syndrome.
dad.
And then I remember he's like, fuck this thing. It was leaking. It leaked oil. It was constantly like leaking. And he's like, they can't fix it. Fuck this car. And that was it. That was it for the Cadillac.
Jan Booma for 20 Canadian. Great job, gentlemen. Your production quality, stream notwithstanding, is amazing. Is amazing. And your reviews are some of the best and most honest on the platform. Well, he hasn't seen all my tramp stamps from all the OEMs.
Oh.
Yeah, Porsche, Audi, GM, they all own us now.
Yep, that's right.
This guy's owned by Lexus.
No, I'm not. I'm owned by Arby's. I'm trying to figure out how to integrate it into my Lexus sponsorship.
No, Patagonia owns us.
Yeah,
they paid us $500 million.
Yeah, Jack, I'm like, send them an email. Maybe we can get a deal. And then you look on their website. We don't give sponsorships to idiots. And plus, we're in the most wasteful possible, like.
Yeah, they're our
industry.
green company.
Yeah, the green company.
I should just send him the Hellcat video.
Yeah, like, hey man, we drive cars that we get 6 miles to the gallon and fill up like 25 times a week.
Oil for $2 Canadian. Who'd win a fight between Mark and Scotty Kilmer?
Oh God. You know what? I'm not the type that's like will get in some YouTube fight or like bum fights or any of that stuff.
You'd be watching like a homeless man.
I would totally annihilate that guy. I would train for that. You would get. I would quit Arby's. I would quit.
You would go to the gym with me every single
I would go
day.
to the gym, and I would. Would have to be a sanctioned fight. I mean, I got to give the guy a chance. He would probably drive his Toyota Tercel there.
Does he have a Tercel?
No, I think he's got the Toyota. I guess we're the same.
Yeah,
maybe it's my dad.
Yeah,
Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. And we just talk about Toyotas the whole time.
You're just going to talk about Takumis?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like, oh man, you guys got some Takumi boxing gloves. My laces would be done on the carbon fiber weave machine in the Lexus plant in Motomachi.
Roger Hong for $10 Canadian. Do you guys have any thoughts on the E53 or E63 wagon? Well, the tightness increase in my pants says I have a good thought.
This guy.
Is it a good all-in-one single compromise car? Your E53 video says it's a great lease. May not purchase. Same for the wagon variant. Well, if you can afford the E63 wagon, get the E63 wagon because...
Isn't it a huge price jump?
Oh, it's enormous price
yeah,
jump.
but that's Jack's. I tell you, oh man, this car's 30 grand, but if you can afford 150, it's so much better. No, if there's an E50, if there's an E53 wagon.
No, it's E400. That's what Greg has.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I think it's the same
Just
motor.
get the wagon. Is there a huge price difference there?
Yeah, it's like double.
Oh, they give you the asshole tax of a wagon?
No, the regular wagon I think is like 80, maybe 70,
man,
and
that's
then
a lot.
the E63 wagon is 130.
Oh my God.
Well, the RS6 we're getting next week is 126. What a great deal! With those kind of prices, you can't afford not to get a small
That
mortgage.
thing better be great for that kind of money.
Well, I'll be sitting in it naked.
Yeah, Jack's like, oh, we get this. You better be ready next week. I'll be inside editing all week. I'm like, just drive it, dude. I don't care.
Jamie Fisher for $5. Will we see you guys review the ultra modern and sexy 2021 Mitsubishi Mirage?
It hasn't been killed off yet?
No.
I turned it down the last time Matt offered it. He offered the...
There's a press fleet for Mitsubishi still?
There is. The dude that works in Mitsubishi used to work for Subaru, I think.
Now does he part-time at the Geek Squad at the same
No,
time?
I don't remember. He'd been in the industry for a while, and he was a really cool guy, and he took a job at Mitsubishi. And I'm like, why? You know, I mean, not to be mean, but like, what are they doing in terms of growth? But now, obviously, like the Outlander, if that's even what it's called. What's the Mitsubishi SUV?
The Mitsubishi SUV.
The Outlander is the same as the Rogue.
Yeah.
So now they're like, it's all Nissan Renaults, and I don't know what the Cross thing is, the Eclipse Cross. I don't know if they're going to convert that over to the Nissan. The CMFC is the code for the platform. Ask me why I know that, Jack.
Why do you know that, Mark?
because I'm a huge fan of the compact module family of platforms and cars.
Man, you aren't kidding. You were like, oh, we could get Tomorrow Sun in this video. He's like, I don't want to talk to the man who founded
I
GTR.
want to talk to the Chinese guy that developed the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross.
Oh, that is in the fleet. Jill.
Is it the Eclipse Cross?
Yeah, it's in the
Is it
fleet.
the Eclipse Cross or the Outlander?
The Eclipse Cross. I saw something that Jill posted that she has the Eclipse
That
Cross.
thing looks disgusting. Oh my god! Like she posted pictures of that. I'm like, the fuck is that thing? Is that like fake? I thought it wasn't. I thought it was fake.
Man, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm sure some guy at some table or woman.
That thing better be free. Is all I'm saying. They better like, hey man, you want a free car? I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I don't even want to pay the money and taxes and the registration. Get that thing on the road. But then again, it looked to me like the interior. It's a Rogue. It's got to be on the same platform. So it's probably the same thing as the Outlander is now.
I'm sure.
With a different.
With a much
with a third
worse
row or-
exterior.
Does it have a third row?
I don't know.
Why are we
I know
talking
nothing
this,
about.
dude?
All right, moving on. Philip Jonas for $5. I'm a dad with a EXL 2-liter turbo Accord. Perfect for all my needs except for the open diff. Same problem everywhere. Camry, TRD, Sonata, and etc. Would switch for the LSD. I agree. It's the problem for all of them. Like we talked about, it would take like $1,000 for them to add an LSD.
A mechanical limited slip can be added but the thing is they have to do it in mass.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't just do it like a couple hundred examples. That's why they don't do it. But if they just did it in all of them, it would be like a $400 to $500 option. It's not that difficult to integrate it into there. But there must be a reason why manufacturers don't want to do the cost. I just don't get it.
CBJ 4515 for $10. Is there a better daily / occasional autocross option under $60,000 other than the M2 competition? Supra. I'm going to tell the story that we always tell. We were at a Mama event, and the M2 competition with Summer Tires was there with a Z4 4-cylinder M Sport. And Mark and I both ran faster times around the autocross course. We were the fastest people there at the autocross course in a Z4. We were faster than our same times in the M2.
And all the other ones like Veloster and
Yeah.
Mazda or the ND2, all of those. And there's a reason for it, and it's because
The car rotates
the
under
car
braking.
rotates. It's set up differently than those other cars. Now, the Supra, when you add the 6-cylinder, you start to get in the same problems that the M2
It doesn't
does.
put the power down.
It doesn't. You got to be a lot careful.
And the M2 gets a manual.
Yes. Yep. Huge,
Yep.
huge difference.
Other options, GT350 if you can find one used.
SS1LE.
SS1 only. Calvin Horish for $5. I bought a 2016 GTI 2 years ago, but I'm just realizing that I'm getting like 21 combined miles per gallon. Should I check to see if there's bad carbon buildup? Yes. That's a big indication that you have carbon buildup, Calvin. Cardinal Glick for 57. How close to death is Infinity?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I had just this conversation with your dad,
Mhm.
and he's like, "What's happening with them?" I'm like, "Nothing." And they don't. I know they have to make a decision what they're going to do with that brand. They're so far behind now. It's almost they're better off scrapping it.
Well, Nissan just announced they went Armada Nismo. Did you see that?
No, they're going to do what everybody else is going to do. They might turn Infinity into a EV brand. That would make the most sense.
Chemi Cake 9 for $5. Option on an automatic ND2. I personally enjoyed driving the automatic ND2 in manual mode. I'm sad to see so many people bashing an automatic Miata.
I don't think there's anything wrong
No.
with the automatic in the new Mazda products. Like the automatic in the ND2 is good. It's just when you have a good manual transmission, which the manual is better than the automatic. So it's hard. We're doing the Veloster N right now again with the dual clutch. And that's one car where the automatic is better than the manual in terms of feel and driving experience. And the automatic in the Mazda isn't that. It's not like the dual clutch. It's just good enough as a substitute for the manual.
If you can buy the manual, buy the manual. If you don't want to buy a manual and you have to get an automatic, it's still a good option.
No, exactly. It's not what I'm gonna say in the Veloster video, which you're gonna get. I'm gonna tell you right now to blow people away. And I told you this earlier. The automatics that people associate being horrible were like the generation, like a previous generation that I was used to. 4-speed autos, the torque converted automatics, and all the American cars and all the Japanese cars were so slow and bad that it tarnished the reputation for automatics compared to the performance equivalents. Now it's not like that anymore. You can get a good automatic that's it's not as enjoyable as shifting your own, but it's pretty close.
GG says thanks for $5. Next question. Sorry, I lost my place. Oh my god, we have a lot of questions to go. We're gonna start killing off new questions in
Yeah,
the next
don't ask
in like
anymore.
10, 15 more
I mean,
minutes because we're dying here.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate people spending the time on here and watching this. I know there's a lot of people watching and a lot of people asking questions, and a lot of people spending their own money to ask questions. I just feel bad because it's so hard to get through all of these, and then we're trying to answer questions. I don't just want to blow through them, but the more that pile up, we're never going to get to them.
And all the Patreon people who tuned in and I saw one of the questions in regards to that.
We're going to shoot the separate video, just us answering all the Patreon questions.
Again, and we
on
answered
Patreon.
some of them in the beginning
Yes.
as well.
So if you want the Patreon questions, go back and watch this over the next couple days, and you'll see the first batch of questions will be Patreon. The rest are all the paid questions.
And then we'll shoot another video just answering the
And
Patreon questions.
exactly.
Only for Patreon. Any Fungi, $5 Canadian. What trim of Sienna is best? It's back.
All right.
We
Sorry about
back?
that. Yeah, that was just. Jack dropped his beef and cheddar on the camera and it blacked it out. So we're back. So the short answer is, what was the short answer?
Best trim level for
The
Sienna.
XLE is the volume trim level for the Sienna, and that is designed on purpose to give you the best mix of features for the best price.
Empty streets rule. If you're still here, please, I beg you, reach out to us via the contact email, and please give us your brand new G80 M3 6-speed manual. BMW is going to give us engineering support on it. They're going to give us a press car, but they said that before, and they probably won't. So please give us your car. We will do an amazing video. There's apparently a really bad audio delay.
Right now,
Yes. God damn it. What did you do? Problems I had faith, Mark. Give us a second. We're fixing things. How is the audio delay now, Chen? Please respond. Is the audio delay still horrible?
is the audio delay fixed?
Let's see. Let's see.
It looks like it's still delayed.
Still. It's like a 20-second delay.
20 seconds?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Is that bad?
Yep. Can you end the stream and restart it?
No.
Can we move to just the webcam?
Not easily. No, I couldn't. This just started?
Yeah, just started.
Well, we could just sit here and pretend like something magical is going to happen to fix it.
You're gonna have to kill the stream and restart it. You have too many questions to answer.
All right, so I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to restart it to answer the rest of the questions. I'm sorry to do it that way, but that's life. And
Oh,
is it better now?
they just said keep going. So
All right, we don't really need to see our faces anyway. Whatever. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll put something fun for you to watch on the screen instead of us.
okay, so please stop asking us questions. We will try to get through all of these as quickly as possible. The remainders. So the gentleman with the M5, please reach out to us through our website and the contact email, which I apparently shouldn't have said and said already in the stream. We would love to do a factory backed video on your new M3. Lost my place. Sunil Harzinski. Just don't have audio for the video you're putting up.
I won't.
Any of you guys been in a SVT Focus? Nope.
Yes.
Nobody ever seems to mention them. Great content is all. What do you think of the SVT Focus, Mark?
I was in the the SVT Contour. I was in. Yeah, I mean, they were way ahead of their time. The Focus, I might have driven it, but I don't know. I don't remember enough to.
Joseph, for $10, do you think the new IS 500 is going to be more obtainable than the LC 500? Yes, it's going to be way cheaper than the
Yeah. It's. I think that they're gonna have a hard time.
keeping them in dealers.
Yeah, I definitely. It's gonna be limited. You already know they're gonna have a launch edition, and from my understanding, they're not gonna produce a lot of them. It depends on price though too. If this thing's like $65,000, nobody's gonna be buying it.
Yeah, no, I agree, because then you would just get an M car. Randy, thank you for the $10 donations. Mark 3504, $10. Just wanted to thank you guys for the films you put out. Appreciate you guys. Much love. Well, thank you very much. Sean Sweeney for $5. What are the odds I can actually score an IS 500 without paying markup over MSRP? Don't want a launch model, so just a normal model. Probably okay. It's going to be hard to find one, so if you see one, jump on it right away. But
Yeah, agreed with that.
is it playing something?
No, I didn't figure out anything to play with it. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. It's just us sitting here. So yeah, we're not matched up. It's either kill the stream and restart it, or just deal with it.
Play something. Play
What
John Davis's Motor Week.
I'll probably get a copyright strike for that, but
Play your own videos. Be a narcissist.
hey, you guys want to see one of my cool videos? Here, why don't I play the video that's coming out next week? No, then people won't watch it. Because it's so bad that nobody's going to want to watch it anyway. You just answer the question, Jake.
right.
I'll figure this out.
Oh my God! Why are there so many questions?
Because people like you.
No, they like you, Mark.
No, they don't.
Oh my God!
People think I'm a piece of shit, Jack. You know how many emails I got last week? Like, oh, you're a piece of shit.
Oh my God! Smooth 7. That's almost smooth. And if you want to watch a real series, watch Yacht Rock. It's a story about Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald making some smooth music.
Now you're talking.
Thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate all that you do. Your work is worth it to us. Thank you, Smooth. Dr. Kimball, you made reference to an engine in the upcoming 400Z. What are your thoughts on the Q50 Q60 Red Sport? It has the same 400 horsepower engine. Well, I'll tell you something that someone else said that's far more knowledgeable about that car than us, and that is the guys at AMS Performance. They say it's very fast, but a total shit box, and it's got a horrible gearbox. But a great bang for your buck. Right? Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Levon A. Hey guys, what do you guys think about the Saab? I purchased my dream car, a 2011 Saab 9.5 Aero, new. I made sure to get everything before the brand went defunct.
How do you keep up with that? Are there parts available?
I
For
have
it?
no idea.
The Saab, which one?
The Saab 9.5.
Hmm. Oh, that's the 9.3 was the Subaru, right?
Yeah, that's a 9.5. I don't even know what the
No,
9.5.
no, isn't that which one's the Subaru?
9.3 must be. I honestly don't know.
I don't remember now. I think the 9.5 was the last like real Saab.
Uh,
I could be wrong.
I just feel Saab died. I feel bad that Saab died, but at the same time, it doesn't really surprise me.
I think that is.
The Vigan? Is it what the Vigan was on?
That's. Just keep going, dude.
All right. Came a mercy for $20. I love the 21 Cruiser video. Would you I would love to see, wow, my brain. I would love to see a Mark 1.2 Golf GTI on the channel. Also, do you guys think it's worth dropping $8,000 to restore a 78 924 that I got for $400 a few years ago? Hell yeah, 924s are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe if someone offered us a Mark 1 or 2 GTI, we could drive it. I drove one on track, actually. I drove one at Iowa Speedway on the Roval when I used to instruct. Oh my God, I felt like Mr. Incredible. I didn't fit in that car. Christopher Nixon for $5. Thank you both for all the amazing content. How do I keep myself from buying a 2021 4Runner car that has remained unchanged since 1976? You don't. You just do it.
I mean, if you love those cars, you're just gonna buy it, not care. I mean, the thing is what model year do you buy? That's the tricky part. It's like, do I buy 2000 to 2020? Which one's the right one?
Because it's the same thing. Pez Zones for $10. Jack, which way is the beach? Love you guys. Oh,
Jack doesn't go to the beach.
Yeah.
I don't let him go to the beach.
he's just too worried I'm gonna steal all his companions.
Yeah, people when they see me coming down the beach, they're like, "Why is somebody walking with a carpet on their shoulder?"
Yeah, is that the swamp thing? Ask Taurus for €5. What would you like to drive review if you lived in Germany or Europe? By the way, I think these live streams are quite fun. Alpine.
Yeah.
Yeah. A broken record. I'd love to drive an
A
Alpine.
Carrera GT.
Yes, I would love to drive a Carrera GT. I would love to drive a McLaren F1, but those cars are also here.
Yeah, that's true.
Brian D. New Mazda 3 Turbo or a Golf R18 as a daily? AP1, he already has an AP1 S2000.
Golf R.
Golf R.
Yeah, the Golf
You
R.
got to get a warranty, though.
Yeah, Golf R is a great daily. It's just not fun in like really tight. It's like one of those cars it's really proficient and fast, but it doesn't give you. It's not an edgy car. It's not like particularly fun. Like we were talking about the Focus ST or the Fiesta ST.
Those are
where you,
fun
like,
cars.
You're flicking it around and it's all over the place. The Golf R is more like understeery-ish and more stable, but it's still fast.
Back to the questions. This is one that I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for here in a second. BDP for $10. Mark, with regard to what you were saying about having a daily with some fun connectedness, but it's still comfortable, would you personally go for the WRX Limited or a 21 TLX? Fun daily that is connected. Well, the TLX
Oh god, the TLX is not really
connected.
It's a totally different car. I mean, the only thing that the WRX has going for it is it does have some connectedness. In the gearbox, the manual trans, it has an older school feel to it that it always has.
But the motor's a piece of shit.
The motor sucks. I'm not gonna lie. The factory tuning sucks. Maybe not the motor so much, but I don't know. Like for me, where I'm at,
I'd have a TLX.
I would have a
WRX.
TLX with all-wheel drive, and then I'll have my fun car.
Yeah.
Like a dedicated fun car that's a weekend thing.
Ben Strong for $5 Canadian. Hey geese, I bought a 2010 STI hatch for $15,000 Canadian. How many more years till the cult of Subaru makes my car appreciate? I have no idea.
Probably when you can't get a manual WRX.
And
or
not to
STI.
offset the number of times you're going to blow up the motor.
Well, I don't know. Not everybody does it. I mean, I think a lot of the bad shit that comes from Subarus is people that just don't
But
know
look at
when to
Amir.
draw the line.
Amir's a good example. His car was 100% stock. He's very good about following maintenance. He bought a 20 whatever STI and he was driving down the highway. normal. Well, I don't know what normal is for
He
me.
probably beat the shit out of it.
Well, probably, but it still just blew up on the highway.
Those cars have always had issues with, like, when they were first released in the U.S., they had glass gearboxes. And I complained to you about this with your shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to shift. You don't have to do that. You don't have to, like,
Monkey shift?
monkey shift and, like, slam it. It's all, like, finger feel. Like,
Well,
if
see,
you're
my
careful-
whole dream physique is a silverback gorilla. I'm just gonna walk around in my arms.
Yeah, it's a car that you can't just abuse, otherwise it's going to break.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of those that, if you work within the confines of it, it can be a really enjoyable, fun car, and that's why people love them. But it's got a bad rap because everybody modifies the fuck out
True.
of them. There's no Subaru in existence, well, WRX or STI in existence that you're gonna
That's
be
more than like a
hey,
year
is that
old.
a stock? You're like, oh, I got a tune. I got
I got my Stage 54 tune.
yeah. It's header or not header back.
Cat back at least.
Yeah.
Yan Zong Jiang. Yan Long Jiang. Wow. I'm like the world's worst Asian person. For $5. The video quality is absolutely amazing. How long does it take you guys to create a video? Well, Mark, how long did it take you to... Let's do amazing video. Well, not amazing. A well-produced video to garbage video. How long did it take you to do the LFA?
Shooting it and editing it or what?
Editing.
Probably like 50 hours.
How long is it going to take you to do the GTR?
Probably 40 hours.
How long did it take you to do the Miata? Documentaries, all of them.
Oh, probably 80 plus.
The most garbage videos we do, how long does it take you to do one of those?
The shooting and editing.
4 hours.
I would say on it, like the shortest I'll ever go is like 4 to 5 hours.
There you go. That is like the most comprehensive answer we could get to that. Mike for $3 Canadian. Is there anything smoother than a Lexus ES for the price?
That's pretty smooth.
It's real smooth. It might be too smooth for the 80s.
That's like, I keep forgetting smooth. Or what a fool believes smooth. I don't think so, really. I mean, you got...
Fool believes smooth. For like the one person watching this who's seen the Yacht Rock series and enjoys Michael McDonald as much as Mark and I do.
Yeah, I just made a playlist finally.
Of Michael McDonald?
No, it's Michael McDonald, George Michael,
and Kenny Loggins.
There's a Loggins song in there, and then I got a whole bunch, like a Bobby Vinton, like Blue Moon, and some. I mean, they're just
smooth.
Like I was listening to it today, and I'm like, I just crawled under the blankies.
Evan Myers, thanks for the $10. Goth Rocker for the $10. Mark and I posted on the Patreon last night. Did you answer those questions? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, we answered. We might have answered your question. Like half. There were like 40 of them. So we have to do a video just for the Patreon people, and we will. Because been at this for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I'll tell you what the stream's at right now, because I'm getting...
fatigued.
I'm losing my edge, dude. Like Maverick and Top Gun 1.
How long has it been going for?
Somewhere in my mind, I can't fucking see anything. Oh, 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Oh my God. All
Dude,
right.
I promised that this would be over in 5 hours. All right.
Goth Rocker, we will redo another video just for Patreon. This one a lot longer than we had planned.
Yes,
and people had paid, so I want to make sure we answer all these questions. Thank you for your $10. Nubia Spectar, thoughts on the new IS500? Please tell me you plan on reviewing one. No, we won't review one. I refuse to do an IS500
yeah, this
video.
guy probably wouldn't. So our plan is we're going to do an IS350 F Sport. We already did in our the 200, which we didn't do a video on. So we'll combine the 350 and the 200 together, and then we're going to have a 500 with a 350 F Sport on
Both
track.
on the track. So
That's the plan.
Zach Richards for $10. Love the PT Cruiser review. Have you been in one of the turbo models with the SRT4 engine?
Oh, yeah. Don't even ask that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, no, I was like a newer one. I never did a video on it, but once it came out, the GTs, I mean, it was like a weird car because it was so fast. It was wrong at that time period.
Could you
right?
get that with the convertible too? You get the GT
Yeah, I think so.
convertible?
Yeah, they had a turbo
Man.
one convertible, but it was funny wrong. but it just wasn't the same as the neon.
Well, when my rap career takes off and I'm suddenly rich, I'll buy you one. Uh, Micah oh God, Micah from Micah Drives, who
Muzio? Yeah.
is a tremendous young man with an incredible jawline, and he decided to give us $20.
This guy, he's got money coming out every year.
Yeah, he's a helicopter pilot. Did I tell you?
Ever since he sold his helicopter to buy a yacht. What's he want?
What personal attributes have helped you guys organize a lasting career as a YouTuber? Unrelated, I had a Arby's beef and cheddar today. Well, Micah, it was nice knowing you. I hope when your heart gives out here in about half an hour.
There's a commonality between talent here.
That you both will
That
eat
we're
Arby's.
both sponsored by Arby's.
What has helped you form a lasting career as a YouTuber? We've been bumbling our way through this.
Honestly, the reality is it's not gonna work long term.
No.
I think we've this year is a proving ground again to get to the next step, but I don't want to get too much into it. But there's no way that I'm gonna do this and be relevant for 10 more years. Nobody's gonna care in 10 years because they'll be moved on to the next person who integrates like dance moves with like flying and deep fakes and like intercourse in cars and then driving off cliffs. I mean, whatever the next thing is, you have to be as good as you can in the time period. And I need a secondary plan, like a corporate plan to make money off of it, to make it sustainable. My goal is, I think what's made it work so far is that we try to be as honest as possible within the confines of realizing you have, like what I said, you comply or fly and know your place. You have to know your place because you're dealing with billion-dollar industries. You're dealing with cars on average that are $40,000.
No
a pop.
YouTuber is bigger than a car company.
Correct. So,
And we exist for one reason: it's to sell cars for car companies.
Right.
And we have to work in the confines of that, and the honesty has to work in the confines of that.
But my responsibility from day one was also to
Yeah.
the audience, and because I always thought when I made videos, I didn't think about anything else other than what did I want to see in a car video that I could not get from what everybody else was doing. And I've always thought that's how I want to make my car videos, for how I would want to see them made. More technical, more information, less bullshit, be more honest, don't sugarcoat everything like all the corporate entities do. And that's the problem when you work for one of the corporate car media brands, is they have a very specific corporate guideline for how every single video is done, what you can and can't say. That gives me the freedom to be more open and honest, but at the same time, you're shackled by the fact that I do at this point get a lot of cars from car companies that have a pretty strict requirement on what you can get away with. And that's where, again, you got to comply a little bit. But my goal is long term is to keep that honesty and get back to doing what I really, really started this as. When a video comes out once a week, my goal is to have one video a week. It's everything I want to put into it. Whether it makes money, whether it doesn't, whether people watch it or not, it can be me, and I can make it to the best of my ability, and it becomes a passion project almost every video, from a shitty car to an expensive car, and I get to pick what I want to do. And that's the long-term goal, and I think people really appreciate that. Right now, we're kind of in that middle ground.
Yeah. David, I'm happy that we could do that for you, and I do have great thighs. He says I had great thighs, Mark. Thank you. Tavy for $10. Thank you very much, Tavy, for the $10. Bunch of W's for $5. EV9 and Iconic 5 are the best looking cars of all the new cars being released. Changed my mind.
Is that the VW you're talking about?
Yeah, I think.
Which one is it?
The back to the question. God damn it! I was all excited to read the EV9 and Iconic 5. Those are the Hyundais, aren't they? The Iconic.
The Ionic. You mean?
Ionics.
The Iconic.
Iconic.
That's the new Bentley you're making. I gotta look at the Ionic 5. I think that's what it is. Isn't that that's the Hyundai? That's not the Kia one.
Oh.
Can't keep up with all this shit, dude. Oh yeah, the Ionic.
Dominic Mitri for $8.
Yeah, that
Just
looks
hopping
slick,
in.
dude. I don't think I've.
Incredible.
No, I mean it looks good.
No, it looks good.
It looks like a VW. Of course you like it. No, I mean I think it looks great for. But this is what wired all these new EVs that are coming out, like this weird crossover, like wagon thing.
No, because you're not a businessman, Mark. If you're a businessman, you'd understand.
What do I know? Why doesn't everything look like an IS 500?
You mean your LC 500?
No, I'm selling that car for an Ioniq 5 and a Chevy Bolt.
Back to the questions.
Oh man, is this real? Make this year the year of savings. Switch to a 15% fixed year rate loan.
Oh, wow. I'm glad
Should I
to get
click
this
on that
Yeah.
ad?
Omar C for $10 Canadian. Might have been already asked, but are you guys worried about the 400Z being a breathe-on 370Z with turbos, or is that a non-issue? Are you confident it's going to be thoroughly reworked? You and I both said this. So the 400Z flops and is a piece of shit. Nissan's in big trouble.
No, they just will never make one again.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, you know that the GTR is important to them, and this 400Z is important to them. The Japanese part of Nissan, not the Renault and a Mitsubishi. These are core, like internal important
The
projects.
people who are there, based on the conversations we've had, love the 400Z and the 370Z.
If they will exist because that group of people want them to exist.
And because of that, it might be good.
So this question's about the 400 flopping.
Do you have a problem with it not being a brand new architecture?
No.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either, as long as
I
it's
don't
been reworked enough.
Yeah, that becomes the issue with the 370 because the 370 was so dated that they run the risk of walking too close to that line with making it the same. I don't know. I don't want to say, but the engine is so different.
And it's fast as hell.
It's going to change the whole feeling of that car.
And it looks good.
It looks more on line of what they need to do today.
Eric Blummer, appreciate your honesty and great reviews. Well, thank you, Eric, spelled with an A. Actually, I've never seen a spelling like that before. A-R-I-C.
Where the fuck is that?
Right there.
Oh, Eric.
Carl Kransky, for $10, what are your thoughts on Lotus releasing a new lineup for 2022? Do you think we'll see a proper road-going Elise Exige coming back to the States? No.
I have zero faith in that brand right
Me
now.
too.
I know Geely's throwing money at them now, so that could change. But the reason it worked for Volvo is because Volvo is
We're business people.
Volvo's business people, and that Volvo is the entire Swedish automotive economy, right? So there's huge incentive for them to exist under that with that money. But Lotus has never given a shit really about making their business work. They make esoteric cars that not a lot of people buy, and they just seem to be okay with it. So unless they're being remanaged, I don't see how much money is going to change what they do.
I don't disagree with you.
I don't know. I wish them the best. I hope they are able to make a change and make some products that maybe they can merge Lotus cars with some of what the Volvo's doing. Could you imagine, like,
They need to make I hate to say this, they need to make an SUV. They need to make they need to make money, and then they can make sports cars.
okay, so take an XC40 or an XC60, which look great mostly, and put Lotus suspension and figure out a new motor for it, which is not going to happen. No. It's going to be an EV. It's just is not going to happen. I think they missed their window into doing something interesting, and it's going to have
That's why
to
they
be.
need to make a rotary V10.
Yeah, the RX-9's coming out next month.
Logan Tennyson for $5. What would be a good upgrade from a Focus RS for under $50,000? It's a great car, but I think I could have something better.
Type R.
Options. Ferrari 355.
How much was the budget?
$50,000. You could get a Ferrari.
Just get a Type R.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Type R.
But
then
he's going all-wheel to front.
It doesn't matter. It's still a better car. But, you know.
Yeah, I'd go Type R.
You
You and I don't like the Focus RS, though.
But I already explained why.
Yeah, I know. So, all right. Type R, CPO'd S5 Sportback. I'm going to say that again because I think it's a really good mix of a car. If you can go rear-wheel drive, you go...
But you're going from a really hardcore,
Oh, yeah.
like one of the hardest core hot hatches we've ever had in the States. You're not going to go to some like nerfed ass like
Cruiser.
Audi.
Yeah.
He's not going to be happy with that. The thing is, these cars don't exist.
Focus.
So the Focus RS, you're really Type R
Type
is your
R.
equivalent, or you can get in a Veloster.
SS1LE.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go to rear wheel drive.
And you're going to have to go to two-door.
Yep.
Austin for $15. Hey, I love you guys. Keep up the channel. The wife has always wanted a Grand Cherokee, and I've convinced her to buy a used current gen SRT. When should we buy? Wait for the new model, or will they hold the value? If the new model comes out, and I don't know what the new model is going to be, new interior, the current generation will drop in value a little bit. But, SRT products always hold their value.
They do. They will hold its value. I think that's the thing is the more years you go away, the farther you get away from, you're getting more mileage on them. If you're
Warranty.
buying used, you're getting farther away from the warranty. So if you're going to buy it, I would buy it the newer as possible. Because I don't know what this brand is going to do now with the V8 stuff. Like, I know they're always going to have some performance division, but I feel like it's going to be less and less.
Yeah. You're not wrong. That's the problem with those cars because they hold their value so well, and the only reason people buy Cherokee SRT products is to put miles on them to drive them as dailies. DDYW. First manual car for the weekend with backseat needed. What should I pick? 86, BRZ, 2020 or 2022, or M2 versus GT350. Wow, those are dramatically different cars. You imagine comparing an 86 to an M2 and a GT350?
Well, it's what you want to do with it. If you're gonna go for an 86, you're stuck modifying it. I always say that you're gonna wind up getting an 86 cheap or a BRZ, and you're gonna have to put like $10,000 into it to get it where
And
you're.
he needs a back seat, and the BRZ 86 back seat is useless. Unless
I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that useless. I think it's pretty decent for a coupe.
Yeah, well, compared to a Mustang though, or the M2.
Well, if you have the M2 and GT350 money, then you're just gonna get those. You're gonna have to get one of those, man. I would take the GT350 over it because I think it's a far more special car, even though it maybe on paper and like if you looked at both of them, you're like, this GT350 looks like a turd, but the way that it drives is amazing. Yeah.
And the fact that you haven't driven manual before, the M2 does have the rev matching, which could help you. Tavani for $5. What's your take on the 2011 Saab 9.5 Aero V6 Turbo? I want one, but not completely sure. It would be my second daily. Man, I don't know anything about the Saab 9.5.
The Saab 9.5, I just looked it up because I had to. It's like on a shared architecture. It's like all GM, obviously. It's all GM, which makes sense. But I never got to drive the 9.5. I only drove the last generation like Subaru clones. So that's a whole subset of people. It's like the old Volvo people. Like they have this affinity towards like the Swedishness of them. I just don't know enough about them.
If you want one, buy it.
I mean, they're not going to cost you a lot of money.
No, I know.
But the problem is you got to find a clean one, and you got to be able to know somebody that has access to the parts or what. You just got to know what you're getting into with them.
NX for $10. If you had more time, would you want to do more videos like the interview videos, like why are women a minority in the car industry? And 2, can you offer a Savage Geese Gentleman Goose V-neck shirt? We're going to work on getting more. That's really my department. We're going to work on getting more shirts, more options. But for our limited run of shirts, the amount of money it costs just to have the inventory is astronomical.
So I want to explain this because I never really got to explain it.
For the 900 people.
Yeah, or whatever.
892 people as the stream's doing this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I did, Jack's like, you need passive income. People want shirts, they ask for it all the time, and I just never got off my ass to do it. And I had everything on Redbubble. The problem with Redbubble is
the quality's terrible.
The transaction is in Australian dollars, and then I have to convert it over. So whatever money I get gets wasted in conversion, and I just put it there just to have something there. There wasn't a lot of thought given to it. So Jack's like, well, you should just do merch. And I'm like, well, I don't want to inventory. I don't want to sell it. I don't care about that shit. I'm not doing it. Jack's like, well, just do it. I'm making all these excuses. So Chicago Auto Pros, we talked to them. They were willing to inventory stuff if we wanted to sell it. They take the orders, they ship it. I don't have to do shit, but I have to pay for the stuff up front. We did 200 shirts, and that doesn't mean that's not multiple styles. That's like 4 sizes, and it's, what was it, $4,000?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to put out for shirts that I don't even know are gonna sell. And then, of course, I didn't want Cambodian like Vietnamese
yeah,
child
you want it
labor.
made it here.
I want it made in America. That's a whole different story because to fucking find companies now that get the materials from the U.S., make it in the U.S.
If the shirts are successful, we will do a V-neck shirt. We will increase the.
Alright.
Before you get on your soapbox,
Alright.
and yes, we would do more videos if we had time to do interview videos.
You would.
No one would watch them, but we would do
I
them.
would love to, yeah.
Alfred Rant, thank you for the $5. Michael Acosta for $5. Should I get a 370Z or BRZ? Coming from an 8th gen automatic V6 Accord sedan. BRZ or 370Z?
The BRZ.
I agree the BRZ is better to drive than the 370, but you and I don't like the 370.
No, I don't dislike it. I just feel like it's a Japanese muscle car. Yeah. I feel like at this point it's been surpassed by the Mustang GT and the SS 1LE.
John Z. John is the hero and crazy person that gave us his 458. And John, when we figure out a time that we don't have to go to Autobahn for business-related things as well, we're going to be there Friday, but it's not really to turn laps. We're probably going to do a session, but it's because we
just one session.
Yeah, we're gonna have to meet people. But when we have a free day to dedicate, we will go. And I'm not just saying this, John. I really do want to go to the track with you. But John asks a real question, and John's a hero. You should check out his channel. He raced in Formula 4. He raced Formula.
He does Radical now.
Yeah, he does Radical as well. What is the enjoyment of driving a manual? Are you not an enthusiast if you don't drive a stick? And John, thank you for the $50. You really didn't have to do that.
Thanks, man. Thanks to everybody. It's appreciate it. The manual discussion is shrunk. Again, I started to say this before. Automatics used to be bad. Now technology's caught up, and in most cases, the good automatics, dual clutches, and even torque converters can be better than manuals because the issue is there's not a lot of development money being put into manual transmissions. So while the car might have a manual gearbox, that doesn't mean it's going to feel good. Most of them feel like plastic, which is why I don't like the BMW manual transmissions. It's a big plastic knob. It feels just like a children's toy. It feels, in some cases, worse than what new simulator products are out there, like simulator gearboxes to do online racing. They're not putting a lot of money into that, and it's also harder to package in the linkages and all this shit in modern architectures because they're mostly designed for automatic first. So just because you like a manual doesn't mean that it's better anymore, and there's mechanical reasons why they're not as good as they used to be. So would I take an S2000 gearbox over a modern dual clutch?
I think
No,
it depends on the experience you're looking for too. Like John's a guy who likes going, he likes racing.
Yeah.
He likes going flat out. And for you, John, you see, we had this conversation off the stream, but if you weren't to go buy a GT3, the 991.2, like the reason I told you to get a 991.1 is because it's cheap, and the fact that I know you don't care that you don't have a manual option because the PDK is so goddamn good.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
If it were me and I were buying a GT3, I would have to get a 991.2 because the 4-liter, but because I could get a manual. I like heel towing. I like doing that extra bit of work that is objectively worse, but I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to what you enjoy. And in certain cars like the Veloster N, I didn't like the gearbox. I didn't really like the Veloster N. And I think the dual clutch is better mated to what that car is trying to accomplish. It'd be fast.
I think what people, I agree with Jack, and I'm going to reiterate it, that manual transmissions do not feel as good as some of the older school ones that had a mechanical feel.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them now, just because they put a manual trans in it, doesn't mean that it's fun to drive. It feels like shitty. It just feels like a plastic toy where you don't feel any gear changes. You're just moving a cable, and to me, that loses a lot of its charm when you go, like the Porsche is a good example. Like you get out of the PDK and you get into some of the older Porsches where the linkage was kind of shitty, or like your old GT Mustang. That was a worse feeling gearbox.
Yeah, but the automatic was even worse.
But the automatic was bad. But I mean, compared to like the GT350
Yeah.
or like the shitty Chinese
MT82.
MT82, I would have the dual clutch over it. And again, it's about what feels better.
Well, it's like the GT500, GT350 conversation we had off camera today. I love the 350 because of the engine.
Yeah.
But the 500, even though it's a dual clutch, is amazing.
It's a better car. The 500 is a better car because it's way more fun and faster to drive. But again, the 350 is great because you don't get that crappy trends. You get one of the best
gearboxes
so
in the world and an amazing pedal box.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what your driving experience is too. If you haven't been out of a lot of manual transmission cars that are amazing, then you might get in one and really
Well, because
have no
John
big-
doesn't have the most. John has some of the best car experience. This guy drove a 458 as a daily in Chicago, makes him a hero. And now is a Carrera S 992 convertible, which is and a Radical. The Carrera S convertible, he'll say it in the stream too, I'm sure somewhere. It is objectively and every way better than the 458. And so he has amazing cars. And going from a PDK in the two best gearboxes you can possibly get, I don't feel like he's missing out not driving a manual. And he drives a Radical. Aren't Radicals manual?
No, they're not.
They don't have a first gear.
Well, not a real. It's
Yeah.
not like a
Yeah, fair enough.
an H pattern or whatever, or a traditional.
But didn't he
manual.
race Formula Mazda? Those were H patterns. The one we drove.
The old Formula
Yeah.
Mazdas were manual
Yeah.
gearboxes, yeah. But I mean, like most modern race cars are all
Sequentials.
Sequentials, yeah.
Tiger Shark for $10. Hopefully, John, that answers your question. What are your thoughts on the F Sport performance line that slots between F Sport and full on F? Are you optimistic about Lexus having more performance oriented vehicles?
I don't know what that means. I really don't. I don't know what they're doing.
I never know what Lexus is
I have
doing.
no idea. I think they don't know what they're doing. The F Performance, like I watched that presentation they did for the owners of ISFs, and they're kind of like, Sado-san, we need to put a V8 in the IS. Everybody wants it. He's like, oh, no. F is up here now. The Akio Toyota is like, he wants F to be high end. So their compromise was like, okay, let's have an F Performance badge that's not like fake, and we can make it more for enthusiasts, but not hardcore track people. I don't know. I think they're just fumbling their way through it to rebrand their company or what they're trying to do. They know they're an enthusiast brand at heart with a lot of the people that are behind it, but they don't necessarily, they know that shit doesn't sell cars. Like, they're not going to sell IS 500s. It's more important to make an RX that they can sell 300,000 of. So I don't know. That's the short answer.
I think Lexus has always had a problem with their product portfolio managers and figuring out exactly what they want to do with some of their cars.
Well, they have a culture clash between what the Japanese want and what the Americans want, and they didn't want to be boring, so they went to the other extreme, and now they look crazy, and that doesn't really sell to the older American crowd because it's weird. And they didn't get like we talked about at the Lexus dealership, the people that come in cross shopping them from Audi, VW, or they're like, what's the horsepower?
And that you can't sell experience in Takumi craftsmanship like you can. Yeah, I know. Well, not thankfully. We have 3 more questions, Mark.
Okay.
We're almost done. Do you envision Aztec scooters for $20? Do you envision the Alfa Romeo 4Cs for having much value as a collectible in the future?
If you get one that's like last iteration of it with really low miles, yes.
Yeah, I think the automatic part might be hard.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's a single clutch,
Yeah,
and it's a weird gearbox.
and they didn't make many, and it's a
Yeah.
really special car.
And it's carbon tub. Which how many carbon tub cars can you get for like 60,000?
My Civic.
yeah, the Civic
Uh,
Sport.
JO0 for $5. What's the step? We only have one other question after this, or 2, 3. What's the next step from the 2017 BRZ with the performance package while still being easy on the wallet and consumable for track days? And the problem if you're going up from the 86, you're going to an S2000. That's the next step, but it's, be worse for a track day. Well, it might be better as a track day car. The next step is big boy cars. And all the big boy cars have big boy consumables.
Right. So that's what you start to learn is you get out of the fun, slower cars, S2000, Miata, BRZ, 86, and what's the next pile from there?
No, you go to a Mustang or an M2 or something, your
Yeah.
consumables double.
Yeah, because your tire costs, your brake costs, all of that, your car weighs a lot more. You could, well, that's 2000 is pretty hard on brakes, even with aftermarket stuff. But like
still,
a
it's-
Miata
yeah.
brake entire package, you could run all year long and not go broke. Whereas you get into a Mustang or
A
like
Vet.
a Vet or a Camaro, and you're spending $1,500 to $2,000
For a set of tires,
It's
yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm going through in the vet.
So you got to figure that out. Or like you go to a track day car. If you really have a weekend car like the Atom, you can find an old Atom for 40, 50,000 in SRA. You could go, you'll never go through brakes. The tires will cost you $600 versus 1500.
And you'll have an asset that isn't worthless when you're done.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky, man.
Jeff B, what's worse, rev hang or speed bumps? Speed bumps. That's for $5. WJ for $5. What's the most capable all-wheel drive system offered for a car? Evo, X, STI, blah, blah, blah. What do you think is the best all-wheel drive system or most capable found on a car?
Probably like the Turbo S.
Yeah, the whatever the all-wheel drive system that's called on Porsche. The GTR's all-wheel drive system is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
For how old it is.
Okay, maybe like new NSX.
Yeah, probably. Last question. Dalux777. Please review the Kia Stinger GT line 2.5T all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. Well, if Kia responds on my email, I will ask for one.
Yeah, because that's what we talked about in the Sonata. That motor in trans is
Tremendous.
it's great. Putting it in a rear-wheel drive heavier car, is it going to be as tremendous?
Probably.
If it's rear-wheel drive, it's got to be fun.
Yeah, probably.
If they don't screw up the trans programming,
which they probably did.
I think that's the issue with the previous Stinger that I drove. I couldn't stand
The gearbox.
The gearbox was just weak. Like for it, okay, for the price, it wasn't bad. But when you're comparing it against
Problems, we
the
drive
Germans,
everything.
Yeah, the German stuff, the ZF gearboxes were just far superior. And that 8-speed that was in there was hanging on to that previous generation, like Genesis stuff. The new DSGs that we've been into in the Sonata and now the Veloster, their new dual clutches are really impressive. I just hope that they don't blow up.
Yeah, we'll see. So
what else is there?
That's it. That's we've gone. How long have we gone for?
5 hours and 55 minutes.
We've gone for 2.5, almost 3 hours. So thank you guys for watching very, very much. I'm sorry this went so long, Patreon people. I promise we will answer all of your questions on a separate video direct to Patreon.
I'm going to go through last thing, a batch here. Chin, you can bail so you don't have to sit on here. I'm just going to go through some of these quickly and hit a couple of these basic ones at the end and then disconnect.
And I'm sorry about all our audio problems. Sorry it's out of sync. Sorry the camera died in the middle of all this. We will continue to work on this. Wow, there are... Yeah, Chin's going to stick around because he's a hero. There aren't many questions, Mark.
No, I was just going through here to see if there was anything.
When you guys reviewing the new F-150, we'll try to get another one.
Sorry, I'm just going through this, reading stuff.
Yeah, you can't read far enough back, Mark. It's
No, I know. I was just
going through all of them.
going through here. Yeah, I think we're scorched, and if you hit us up, here's another thing. Here you can hit us up on Instagram. It's the only other social media platform that I kind of am on. Just follow Savage Geese on Instagram. I do actually see a lot of stuff. If you have comments or something on there, hit us up if we didn't get something. Also, the Savage Geese website has a contact link, and there is a lot of emails that we get and stuff to go through, so it's really hard for me to keep up on that, but we do try. Jack monitors it.
And I have what the hell's my Instagram called? That I don't really. It's called, because I'm probably more likely to respond than Mark because Mark's busy. It's Jack Ethnically Ambiguous.
Yeah, so hit us up on there. We'll do our best to get back to you. Obviously, Patreon. Jack is monitoring Patreon now more because, again, like if I'm editing all week, it's really hard. The last question there is the Mazda 3 18 for $14,000. That's a good deal for a first car. I would definitely consider Mazda 3 as a first car.
I would too.
Or a Civic. But I appreciate everybody watching and staying patient with us. The next video, I will have more testing done on the audio setup, and it actually works. I'll get into it later, but next time it'll be better. I think we got some of the video stuff fixed, but the audio sync